Levi Shaw is suing his parents, Davery and Nathan Celestine, for the repair costs of an 18-wheeler truck.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge.
How are you?
Case number 2032, Shaw versus Celestine.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Shaw, these are your parents, is that right?
Yes, they are.
How old are you?
I'm 26.
Just the very broad framework of this case, you're suing your parents for money that you put into a truck that belongs to them.
Correct.
And they are counterclaiming for money that they say you owe them for a balance of a dog they purchased for you. Mm-hmm. The truck that you fixed belonged to your parents.
Yes, the agreement was...
the truck that you fixed belonged to your parents. And
Correct.
what I gather is that you would come into some money. Is not an answer.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And when did you come into that money?
I never came into any money from them after I fixed
Not
the
from
truck.
them. I didn't say from them, that you came into some money. Is not an answer.
I'm sorry, yes, ma'am. I came into some
So I
money
want
in October.
you to... In October, you were not employed.
I was employed.
By whom?
Trucking.
Is that their company?
No, I was working with them and their brother.
So you were working with the family?
Yes.
Okay. That was in October.
Yes,
October
ma'am.
of 2021. It's not an answer.
I mean, yes,
is
ma'am.
an
I'm
answer.
sorry.
And how much did you come into?
About $10,000 for the month of September and October.
And then your father said to you, I assume, you should take some of that money and buy a 16-wheeler truck so that you...
No, ma'am.
Well, how did that happen, sir, that you got possession of your parents' truck?
So it...
Did you try to buy a truck on your own?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay,
And
in
that
what
deal
month?
failed.
Just a second. In what month did you try to buy a truck for yourself?
January.
January of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
And tried to buy a truck so that you could have your own truck for long hauling and business.
Yes, ma'am.
And you went to a dealer and you found the truck that you liked, but you didn't qualify for financing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how much is a new truck?
That truck, it wasn't new. It was a 2015, and they priced it at $60,000.
60.
Yes, ma'am.
And you told your parents about that?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
there was a discussion that they had an older truck that wasn't running.
It needed minor work.
It needed...
That was told to me.
Okay, so they said to you it needs minor work. Was it running?
It was running, but the diamond seal was cracked, so eventually the truck was just going to break down completely.
Okay, so you took that truck with the understanding that you were going to repair the truck, and then what?
To make money. But once...
So you would repair the truck and then use it?
Yes, ma'am.
And you would keep most of the profits from using that truck? I mean, I'm trying to understand what the agreement was.
My dad, Nathan, told me that the truck was only going to be worth $4,000 to fix, which was a diamond seal. It needs some bushings. It needs something for the exhaust pipe. And I was like, okay. But when the dude kept calling me for the truck, and he was like, okay, this needs to be done.
But you took the truck into a mechanic?
Yes, ma'am.
And did they give you an estimate?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Before or after they did the work?
They gave me one before, but I don't have that estimate, but I have the one for after.
You mean after they completed the work, they sent you a bill?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's not an estimate. An estimate, sir, is when you go in and say, here is a truck. I want you to give me an estimate of what it is to have it fixed. And they give you an estimate, and then you determine whether or not you want them to do any or all of that work, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I would never bring a truck into any mechanic or to any dealership mechanic and say, fix it.
When they was calling me, telling me additional problems that was wrong, I would call them, which I have my phone records that show that I was also calling them once the dealership called me to fix the truck.
Well,
because some
just a
stuff
second.
on the truck wasn't able, like it needed a new gear, it needed new transmission was messed up on the truck.
Just a second. All I want is what you're telling me, that your father told you to go ahead and fix those things each time you got a call?
Yes.
Okay, so you would call him and your father would not say to you, well, how much is that to fix?
Well, yeah, he was, but I had already had a settled amount that I told him that I was willing to spend, which was $10,000.
Well, did you spend $10,000?
The truck was actually over $10,000.
I understand to fix it, but you actually spent
$10,000.
You actually spent the $10,000.
$10,900 to be exact.
To fix the truck.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have the truck.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think the truck was $13,000 to fix.
Yes, ma'am.
So you paid the additional $3,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Now the truck is running.
Yes, ma'am, it's running. It was running before, Your Honor.
But it's running now better because
Yes, ma'am.
there are...
Yes, ma'am.
Because
not using it.
Just a second. I can only hear from one of you. He said the truck is in use. You said no.
It's not used, or is the truck?
No, Your Honor, I misunderstood what you said. I thought you was talking about the repair. You saying is the truck operable now? Yes, it's operable, but it's not on the road.
It's not on the road? Who
Yes,
cares
ma'am.
if it's not on the road?
Oh, yes,
The
ma'am.
idea
Yes, ma'am.
was he was supposed to fix the truck and supposed to be able to use the truck.
Yes, ma'am.
Is he able to use the truck?
Yes, he's able to use the truck.
Okay, great. When was the last time he tried to use the truck?
He never tried to use the truck after it was fixed. He said that he no longer wanted to be a part of the deal to give him his money back.
Okay.
I have something. Now, when the truck originally got fixed in February, my dad came into town multiple times. It was one more piece that needed to be fixed, which was the ABS module, which if you get pulled over, they're going to stop you and shut you down completely.
I don't know
And I
that.
told him, hey, we need to get that fixed. He came into town 3 times, and I asked him, hey, is you going to take the truck to the shop? Hey, is you going to take the truck to the shop? He said no. And he's like, well, it don't have any insurance. And it was just a whole bunch of excuses why he couldn't take the truck to the shop.
Whether he can or he can't, he says, and your mother says you're able to use the truck.
But I don't have a CDL, so I'm not able to drive it.
Well, you didn't have that when you took it in anyway, to be fixed.
But I didn't take the truck over there. He drove the truck to the mechanic shop.
Whatever, I don't care who drove it there, but your agreement with him was you tried to buy a new truck. It was much too expensive. Your agreement with your parents was that you would take an older truck of theirs that needed a lot of work, and you took it into a mechanic, and the mechanic was going to fix the truck, make it operable, so that you would have an opportunity to use it and make money.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I'm asking you, now the truck is fixed to the tune of $13,000. When was the last time that you asked to use the truck that your parents said you can't?
Well, I asked him, can I have his dad take the truck to get the additional piece put on, and he told me no, just to wait till he come into town.
Okay. After the agreement that your son was going to pay the money, fix the truck, was your agreement with him that he could use it at will?
I gave him a specific time.
I'd like to hear what the specific times
The specific time was...
Let's make it up as we go.
No, ma'am. I'm thinking straight to you. I'm going to tell you just like it actually is.
Levi Shaw claims his parents, Davery and Nathan Celestine, owe for the repairs of an 18-wheeler truck. Levi's parents are countersuing for the balance of an English bulldog.
Was the additional piece put on the truck that he's talking about?
No, ma'am, it didn't actually
Why?
need that addition. It was an ABS modulator, which on that particular model was a 1995 FLD Classic. On that particular model, you don't need that to reset the ABS light. All you need is a sensor that goes in the hub of the wheel.
What I'm asking you is, your son said that you needed this one part. This is your business.
Yes, ma'am.
How much is that one part?
This is a part that I never researched, so I can't tell you that. But according to him...
Perhaps I didn't ask you anything. Perhaps you can tell me.
The part was $900.
That was returned back.
It was never returned because they wouldn't let me return it because it's dealing with wires. So when I asked them, can I return it, they said no. And I had a text where I text her and I said, hey, they will not let me return this piece.
Return what piece?
The ABS module. They will not let me return it because it's electrical, and they do not accept returns on electric pieces.
So is what you're telling me that you bought this piece for $900?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that it wasn't necessary. You didn't buy it from him.
No, but I don't know if it was necessary, but what the mechanic told me and what
You can't tell me what the mechanic told you.
Well, I'm just saying the mechanic told
No,
me
you
that it
can't
needed.
tell me what the mechanic told you. Well, all I'm telling you, Mr. Shaw, is you had an agreement with your parents to fix a truck and then to be able to use it. And I want to know whether they have ever denied you the right, because that was the contract that you made. You never made a contract with them that you would take a truck to the mechanic and they would pay for the repairs. You never made that contract with them. You want me to say that that was your contract with them. They say the truck is operable now and that you can use it. When do you want to use it?
Well, if they're willing to let me use it, then I want to use it as soon as possible.
Okay, and you can drive the truck.
No, I was going to hire a driver.
Okay, and the truck now is not on the road, is that correct?
That's correct. That's
Yes,
correct.
ma'am,
Truck
that's right.
now,
That's right. That's right.
the truck is not on the road.
No, ma'am, it's
is
not.
what you said,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
operable.
Yes, it's not operable.
Okay, and after the agreement that your son was going to pay the money, fix the truck, and then be able to work at it so that he's getting some benefit from what he put into the truck.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have
I wanted to ask.
I'm not looking at you.
Okay.
Did you have a discussion with him about how much of the time he would be able to utilize the truck, or was your agreement with him that he could use it at will?
I gave him a specific time. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to hear what the specific times
The specific time was...
Let's make it up as we go.
No, ma'am. I'm thinking straight to you. I'm going to tell you just like it actually is. I gave him specifically, according to him, about 3 months of when he probably needed it, to get himself together.
No, just a second. You mean he was going to spend $10,000 on fixing the truck and you were going to let him use it for 3 months?
Well,
put your hand down. I'm not talking to you.
Well, as long as he needed it. I'm going to put it that way. As long as he needed the truck.
Okay. So now that's better.
Yes, ma'am.
So that he can use the truck whenever he needs it, and he's going to get a driver. I just want to know, because we're going to have to memorialize all this in an order. What do you want?
We had a driver. My brother was the driver.
I don't care whether your brother was the driver or not. That was not the agreement that your husband said he made with his son.
Yes, ma'am.
He says he made an agreement with him that if he paid to have it fixed, he could use the truck whenever he wanted to. That's what your father says.
No, that is not true.
Okay, so when did you ask to use the truck?
So in January, when I was getting the truck fixed, they told me $4,000. But as the mechanic kept calling me, adding on stuff, I said, hey, I'm not about to pay all this money, and y'all telling me I can just use it. If I'm about to put all my money into it, I want the truck. And my mom was like, okay, you can do that, because in January, they didn't make any money.
Just a second. So what you're telling me is what you said to your mother, I'm not going to put in all this money unless the truck belongs to me.
Correct.
Well, that's not unreasonable, Mr. Shaw. I can actually see that. You're spending $10,000 of your money, and you want to be able to use the truck. Mm-hmm. And you want it to be able to not have it on a whim of somebody else.
Yes, ma'am.
How old is this truck?
This truck is exactly 22 years old.
How long have you owned it?
I've owned it since I was 23 years old.
Okay, so you've owned it since it was new?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you make a living from it?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Good. Do you have other trucks now?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
How many others?
Just one other. I'm not no big-scale company. I just got one other truck, yes, ma'am.
Can I see the title to the truck, please?
To the truck we're talking about?
Yes.
I don't have that title with me.
Why not?
I was under the impression that I didn't need to bring it.
Okay. And according to you, the truck's not on the road now?
No, ma'am, it's not on the road.
Do you remember having a conversation with your son about, I'm not going to spend all this money unless the truck is mine?
Yes, ma'am, I do remember that conversation.
Do you remember where it took place?
He was driving and I was at home.
So it was over the phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Remember what month that was?
January.
January of 2022.
Correct.
Tell me what you said to him and what he said to you.
I told him, I totally understand what you're saying. I said, let me talk to your daddy, and we'll see what we could do, but...
Great. As a parent, that sounds perfectly reasonable. And did you speak to your husband?
Yes, I did.
Did the two of you own the truck?
He owns the truck. It's in his name and Nathan's name.
So you said, okay, that sounds okay, let me talk to your daddy. You have to talk to the owner of the truck, because
Correct.
Now you're seeking to change the agreement. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And after you spoke to your mother, did you have a conversation with your father about the ownership of the truck?
Yes, we did.
And tell me when that was and what was discussed.
It was in January as well, and when I told him that, he said he totally agreed with me that if I put in majority of the money, that I can have the truck.
Okay. I want to tell you, certain things sort of ring true to me. If I were a young person and spending all my money for a business, because this is the business that he was going to be in. He was going to hire a driver and he was going to take a certain amount of the profits. I could understand him saying to his parents, who now have a truck that they're not using because it's not on the road, I'm going to spend all my savings, it looks like, because the initial estimate was $4,000, but it kept going up and up and up and up and up. So if I'm going to spend all this, put your hand down. If I'm going to spend all this money, I'd like to own the truck. And in response to that, his mother said, and acknowledges that she said, that sounds right to me, I'm going to speak to your father. And according to you, you spoke to your father, and your father said, sounds okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So you went ahead and spent the money.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Put your hand down. This
Your
is not
Honor, I don't
this is
understand,
not.
Your Honor.
It's dollars on to
I'd have
fix-
made over $1
to
million
fix your
with the
truck.
truck.
That's ridiculous.
I want you to stop it.
Say, man. Hey, man,
Okay.
how can you tell me
Now,
to stop
are
on
we
something
going-
I worked blood, sweat, and tears on? He finna take.
Levi Shaw says his parents, Davery and Nathan Celesti, owe for the costs of repairs to an 18-wheeler truck. Levi's parents say he never used the truck, and it is still not fixed.
I'd like to see the bills for the truck.
Oh, I have it on my phone.
Well, what is that?
These was the bank statements because at first they was countersuing for insurance as well. So I was showing bank statements where I had sent them money. So
No, I
that's
don't-
what these was
Yeah.
for. But I have it on my phone, but I don't have it in the statements.
Well, I need it.
Here you go.
Is that the one final invoice?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it.
And it also I have at the bottom where it says it needs the ABS
Just hold it up.
module.
Your Honor, can I see that as well?
Yes. Well, so the entire amount is $13,000.
$13,000 and some change.
And your father paid $3,000.
Yes, ma'am.
This is not the correct invoice.
What?
I
got
have
the
the
original.
original invoice.
Fine, I'll take a look
It's
at
the
yours.
invoice that was sent to me via, so by their email, which I can pull up their email as well.
And it shows that it's paid on the back.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
It's the same thing as he showed me.
But it has our name on it.
Who cares?
The ones that he showed you, it changed since then.
Well, but let me ask you a question.
No.
Unless I'm missing something,
No.
you're not questioning the fact that he paid $10,000 to fix the truck out of the $13,000 that the truck was. Are you questioning that?
No, I'm not
Okay,
questioning that.
then I don't know what we're talking about.
Okay.
Let's go over this one more time. When your son said to you, you know, if I'm going to spend all this money, I want to own the truck, and your wife had the same conversation with you, right? She said, I got a call from Levi. Levi said if he's going to spend all this money, he really wants the truck, and she actually thought it was okay. And what did you say, sir?
I said that I'm not going to sell you the truck.
Why?
I will let you use the truck.
No, when did you say that?
Because I have other children.
Oh, no, but
And-
your other children didn't put any money into the
No,
truck.
no, I know.
No,
what
just a
you're saying.
second. Your other children didn't put
I
any
know what
money
you're
into
saying,
the truck.
but there's like-
Hand down.
He didn't
Okay.
ask me to buy the truck. Your
Okay.
Honor. He asked, could he use it?
Just a second.
He was gonna sell it to my uncle because when the repairs got done, they actually didn't have enough money because I had $8,000 saved up. They took $4,000 of my $8,000
That you got
to pay
paid
the.
back.
Yes, but they didn't have the money, so
That's
when
not true.
you
That's
just
not
said
Mr.
you
Shaw,
borrowed
Mr.
$4,000
Shaw,
from me.
I don't expect you to talk to each other. I don't expect you to talk
Yes,
to him.
ma'am, I understand.
It's very easy. I believe that you changed the contract with your son from a contract where he would pay for the repairs, which was supposed to be $4,000, and then you have the use of the truck, to the fact that he was going to spend $10,000, which was all of his money. Put your hand down. I'm not. This 22-year-old truck that you've had since it was new was going to be his. And I am going to craft an order to the Department of Motor Vehicles to reissue a title in the truck to him. Do you understand? He's going to take that order. He's going to get a new registration for the car and a new ownership. Unless you want, put your hand down. This is
Your Honor,
not
I don't
a.
understand
This is
that,
not.
Your Honor.
It's not.
I don't understand that.
Well,
I
but,
got other
just a second.
children. I
Do you
got
want me-
5 other
do you
kids,
want me?
man.
Do you want me to
And
say
he's
it's
spoiled,
slower?
Your Honor.
And I say, what about the $3,500 that we put into it?
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
But it wasn't $4,500. It was $3,500.
35. I'm sorry if you didn't hear me well.
Man.
You are absolutely entitled to that.
Dude.
I believe you are entitled to that. He put in 10. That's his truck.
I made, Your Honor, I worked all my life with that truck.
I don't care.
I worked all my.
I don't care. He's not going to spend his $10,000
I care. I done made over $1 million
fix your
with the
truck.
truck.
That's ridiculous.
I want you to stop it.
Say, man. Hey, man. How can you tell me
Now,
to stop
are
on
we
something
going-
I worked blood, sweat, and tears on? He finna take.
I need a break.
That's the judgment. I'm not entertaining your counterclaim. That's the
Not
judgment
playing,
of the
man.
court. You get title to the truck. You can retrieve it as soon as you change the registration of the truck. However, in order to do that, you have to give your parents the $3,500 that they put into the truck. Do you understand?
Yes,
Your
ma'am.
Honor,
Good.
what about
We're
this
done.
dog?
We're
that
done.
we
This
paying
court is
for?
adjourned.
We're done.
We
I have
paying
a
for this
question,
dog.
Judge.
No,
It's
we're
over.
done.
It's over.
Okay.
We paying for this dog and we didn't, and he's
It's
not
over,
giving
man.
us nothing.
Let me explain something to you.
That's
The reason, let me explain something to you. The reason that I'm not hearing your counterclaim is because the two of you were disrespectful and didn't listen to me. Oh, yes, you did. That's it. We're done.
My actions of my response to what she was saying is wasn't nothing being disrespectful towards her.
I'm very glad she ruled in my favor.
It was the initial, the thought of giving up my hard-earned possessions.
It was because I did try to work it out before we came to court, and they was like, no, we're not gonna pay you nothing.
I never would have thought in a million years to sue my parents, even though they, my parents whooped my butt. But that was just something you had to go through back then.
It saddens me. I'm in disbelief that my parents did that to me. I didn't think that they would do that.
I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know his plans. I can't talk that.
If you do business with family, make sure you get contracts.
You know, I sympathize with the plaintiff's position on this because modifications of contracts are supposed to be allowed when there's a change in circumstance. So it's not like he was attempting to change the contract every Friday or for no reason. He thought that it was going to be $4,000. It turned out to be $10,000 to fix the truck. And as such, he wanted a bargain for exchange. That's a lot more money than he initially intended. So that conversation makes sense to me, that conversation between his parents, that I know we had agreed to this, but now with this new information, this is what I'm comfortable with. Is that okay?
I think so. I think that is a common sense interpretation of what happened.
For a truck that cost $60,000 20 years ago, to put in $10,000 to it is not nothing. That's a big investment.
Well, it probably isn't worth more than that. And the condition that it was in before he had it repaired, their position was unreasonable because now they have a fixed truck
that their child paid for.
That their child paid for. And with the animus between them, it doesn't seem to me as if he's going to get any benefit from the bar.
Previously on Judy Justice.
He aggressively coaxed you into the chair, is what you're telling me, by complimenting you. I mean, he didn't physically drag you into the store. You walked in by yourself.
Right.
So you must be very good.
She asked for something that would actually help her look more youthful. The medical devices that we actually retail, we demonstrate them on the clients. And then typically clients, when they see a difference, they're like, oh, wow.
Listen, you're not selling me, sir. I want to know how the sale came about.
And next thing I knew, Eric was practically on top of me. Well, I didn't feel that I was going to be able to leave the store. I've been held against my will before and kidnapped.
Who hired you?
Wasn't hired. I was in business with him.
Okay, well, it's getting more interesting.
I'm sorry.
And who leases the store where you are? Don't look up in the air. It's going to get only worse.
And now, the conclusion. Linda Bernadeschi is suing salesman Eric West for deceptively selling her skincare products she never wanted.
You know, I'm not sure she's entitled to a refund on all the products that she bought. I'm not thoroughly convinced yet that this was a situation where she was held against her will. But I've always been fascinated by these stores that want me to pop in and they give me a little white plastic thing and they stand outside, try this product. And, you know, you pass by and you say, no, thank you, I'm not interested. No, you're beautiful, you know, this can take away the wrinkles in your face. I say, I make my money with my wrinkles in my face. Right? And I don't want to take them away. I want them to stay. So that's what it is. So I've always been fascinated as to the business aspect of it. And I digress for a moment because there was some scam company that was all over the internet that said I had created a skin line years ago. Couldn't find them. And they had all kinds of accolades, and it looked like it was sold through major companies online and endorsed. They had pictures all over. It was a scam. And they've done the same thing to numerous other people. And it's all scam. And you can't find them because they're on telephone banks someplace, here and here. And as soon as the federal authorities get to one, they close down one and they go someplace else, sometimes offshore. So we were unable to find them. So all you could do is get on the horn and say to people, I don't own a skincare line. I've never endorsed a skincare line. Don't buy products that say that they're mine. So I've always wanted to know about these guys who stand in front and try to get you into the store with a little packet of freebies. So now it's your joint business?
Yes.
How much did you put up?
I honestly, I can't recall.
You can't recall how much money you put up? You've only been there 3 years.
I know, I don't remember how much the initial investment was.
Well, give me an idea. Was it $5,000, $500?
A lot more than that.
Well, if it's a lot more than that, you want to tell me how much your contribution was.
Couple $100,000.
It was a couple of $100,000. That was your contribution to the store. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh is not an answer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Where did you get the $200,000 from?
I worked for it.
For whom?
I worked different jobs.
How old are you?
37.
And you had $200,000. You said a couple of $100,000. That's two. You had $200,000 so that you could invest that. Is that correct?
Yes, and before having a skin business, I had a grocery store on the XL Mobile campus in Spring, Texas.
Okay.
We generated some revenue, and so I thought to open a spa and do products, sell products, and go that route. And I really do pride myself in integrity. I literally, every client that walks in, and I'm not just saying that.
So if you pride yourself in integrity, and within a few days of being in your store and selling this lady who had absolutely no intention of going shopping that day an $8,000 beauty wand that's going to make her look like she's 30, she says, listen, I made a big mistake. I don't want this product. I want to bring it back. Let's say I keep the creams, but this was $8,000 and I don't have that. Why didn't you take it back?
Your Honor.
That's a question, Mr. West. If you pride yourself on integrity.
I'm explaining. She came back way past the allotted time.
What's the allotted time?
We have a 14-day in-store exchange only for in-store credit policy when you purchase a product. She told me that she was using her husband's credit card. Now I'm coming to find out that it's her roommate or guy that she's living with. I don't know the whole story, but I can tell you that the whole interaction with her was extremely professional. There was no aggression.
I just asked you why. Now you have a lady who I've met, actually.
Yes.
Just here. And she gets home and she said, my God, what did I do? How did I get this? A lot of fast talking here and a lot going on. And now I'm walking out with almost $10,000 worth of product. And I was going to buy a lipstick. And she says to you, I want to return this wand thing, whatever it is, for $8,000. And if what you're saying is you run a reputable business and you're busy and you've had enough money to put down $200,000 in this business, by the way, you do file taxes every year, don't you? Yeah. When was the last time you filed income tax returns? What year?
This year.
How much did you earn?
$173,000.
From this business?
From different businesses, but yes.
Are you in this location all the time?
Yes, typically in that location, yes.
When you're typically not in that location, where are you?
Florida.
Where?
Miami.
What do you do in Miami?
What most people do, sit on the beach.
Well, how often do you work?
Pretty much almost every month. And I take my weekends and I fly and spend 3 days and then work.
In Miami?
Yeah.
You go from California to Miami. Great. And she paid how much for all of that stuff?
Nothing. She only bought one eye cream. That was the initial.
Just a second. How much was the eye cream?
It was $600, I believe.
I have never, ever in my life spent $600 on eye cream.
Defendant Eric West claims the plaintiff, Linda Bernadeschi, purchased products with a no-refund policy. Linda felt she could not leave unless she bought the items.
So you still haven't answered my question. She comes into you within a relatively short period of time after she purchased all this product. She said, I don't have the money. I have to return this piece of equipment. And you said
that she... Oh, sorry, I apologize.
Ahead.
She said that she found the products cheaper online a week and a half to 2 weeks later. She was upset.
Just a second. Did you call and say you found the products cheaper online?
Yes, but it wasn't that. It wasn't 2 weeks later.
How much later?
A week at the most.
Oh, which products did you find cheaper?
The wand. I couldn't find the other products at all.
Okay, but you said you found the wand cheaper. Is that what you told him?
Yes.
Now, you looked for the wand. You had to go on, like Sarah does, on the machine.
Right.
And look for it. And now I have to assume, Ms. Bernadeschi, I have to assume that if you went online to look at it, you tried it, because that makes sense. I want you to be very careful with your answer and not give me an answer that you think is going to help your case. But if I took the trouble to go online to try to find something, it would mean because I liked the product. So I would have tried it. No. Did you use the wand?
No, I have not. It's still in its original packaging. There's no way it could be opened and sealed back up. There's no way. I looked online because I wanted to see how much I got ripped off for.
Okay. And when you went online, how much did you find it for?
$597, I believe.
The same thing? Can I see what you found for $597?
Kind of.
Do you know what she's talking about?
I know that when you go and you buy a Cartier ring from Cartier, you can get it online for a cheaper price.
Listen to me, sir. It's not what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
okay, sorry. My apologies.
Mr. West.
I see what she's talking about. It's a very similar looking device listed for $575 from a different
see it?
store. Yeah. This is the initial one that I showed you for that amount. That's what the defendant handed us a copy of. This, for this price, is the same. I just copied and pasted the name of the machine into Google, and this came up. So it looks a little bit different, but
Okay.
same concept.
Would you go back to the other one, please, Sarah, the first one? And I want you to show me the comments that gave it a 5-star rating. 2 reviews.
Yeah, there.
I just want to look at it.
Looks like one from 2019.
Okay,
and
let
now,
me see the next one, please.
And now that I'm reading it, this looks as if it's for a different device. This says electrobionic.
So the review
That's
is...
listed here. It
the
looks to be
review
for a
is
different
for
device.
a different product.
Yeah.
Okay. No, she found it.
Okay.
She found it for me.
Sorry.
She found it for me, a different color, whatever. Anyway, so you called him about a week later.
Yes.
You called him about a week
Yes.
later and said,
Yes.
I found it cheaper.
Yes.
And what did he say to you?
He said, well, I can't give you a refund. He said that would have to be up to corporate. So I'll have to get a hold of them and get back with you. Well, he never did.
Taking what you say is true, you called him a week later and said, I found this very expensive product. The other thing were facial creams and potions and lotions, whatever. I'm not so concerned about those. I'm concerned about this $8,000 item. So you called and said to him, with regard to the $8,000 item, I found it cheaper.
I don't think I told him that, no.
Okay, now let me read the police report. Okay, have you seen the police report, sir?
No, I have not.
Okay, so this is a police report by an officer who you don't know and doesn't know you. What happened was, on the 8th of March, he received a dispatch to go to a location because the plaintiff had complained that she felt on the 21st of February that she couldn't leave the store, and she spent over $9,000 at the store. So he went to see her because the case was a false imprisonment case. And it said, while officer was en route, he asked his dispatch if there was any history involving your location. And it said there were 2 previous incidents involving your store. You're aware of that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. And he read the papers of the events. There were 2 different complaints, 2 different complainants that were very similar that were reported by this plaintiff. Said that the other 2 victims were lured into the store and they felt as if they were not able to leave until they purchased products. One of the reports stated that the victim had spent over $100,000 on recurring charges and products that she didn't want. So, in a very small area, there's a little history there. I'm reading you what the complaints are, sir. Do you understand?
Absolutely.
Okay, let me finish. Okay, so the next day, on February 22nd, you said you wanted a refund for the device. This is what you
Yes.
say, not for the creams, not for anything else, just for the device.
Yes.
Okay,
Your Honor, she didn't pay for the creams. She paid for 1 cream out of all the creams that she got.
whatever.
Okay.
But that's not where you made your money.
No, I know. It's on the machine.
That's not where you made your money, is on the lotions and potions. Okay, suspect 2, that was you, told him he was unable to give her a refund and would have to be done by corporate. Were you the one who told her that?
I spoke to her.
That's
No, I
either a
did not
yes or
say
a
that.
no.
No, I did not say that.
Tell me what you said.
I told her that she signed a no refunds agreement, and she understood that she purchased the sale, that it was a final sale because she got what she received.
What did she receive?
She received 6 months worth of services that she did not want, which were complimentary. She also received a full skin regimen, day cream, night cream, cleanser, toner, eye serum, eye cream, peeling gel.
And she paid how much for all of that stuff?
Nothing. She only bought 1 eye cream. That was the initial.
Just a second. How much was the eye cream?
It was $600, I believe.
Do you still run that place when you're not sunning in Miami?
No, and those are the only.
Just a second. It takes an awful lot for somebody who feels as if they've been taken advantage of to actually go to the police and said, I was duped by this dope, or a dope that was duped by this dope.
Defendant Eric West claims the plaintiff, Linda Bernadeschi, purchased products with a no-refund policy. Linda felt she could not leave unless she bought the items.
The eye cream was $600. Okay. All right. Mr. West, I'm not going to waste any more time with this case. You're going to get your $8,000 back when Mr. West gets back his sealed wand. Do you understand?
Yes.
If it's been opened...
It hasn't.
If it's been opened, it belongs to you. Do you understand?
Yes.
If it's been opened and it came in a sealed package, it belongs to you. As soon as Mr. West receives... You're still in the same location? Are you still in the same location? That's either a yes or a no.
I'm not in the location, no.
What?
There's another operator there, but just for the record, I believe that we opened the device because she wanted to know how to use it at the store.
Just a second.
Okay.
So then you have no problem,
Okay.
sir. Do you understand?
Yes.
Unless she can return the item to you sealed, because she says it's sealed, and there's no way that it could have been opened. That's what she told me. If she opened it, that means she tried it. And if she tried it, it belongs to you. Mm-hmm. Do you understand?
Yes.
So within 5 days, he gets the product back. What?
I just want to show you this final sale
Just a
agreement
second.
that she wrote.
I understand what it says, sir. I understand what it says. I also understand that your little company had 2 prior complaints from that location. And it takes an awful lot for somebody who feels as if they've been taken advantage of to actually go to the police. Most people just write it off and said, I was being a real schlemiel and I was duped by this dope, or a dope that was duped by this dope. And just say,
Your Honor.
I'm going to eat it. What I'm telling you, sir, is I buy an awful lot of junk for my face. That's what old people do. They buy lotions and potions and stuff. I even steal some of hers. And I have plenty of dough. I have never, ever in my life spent $600 on eye cream. Ever. And so if she spent $600 on eye cream, that means she could have bathed in all the other products and you still would have made money. She is going to get her money back for this worthless piece of accessory, because it's worthless to her because she hasn't used it and she doesn't want it. And she's going to get it back from you when she produces the sealed package. That's it. And you're her witness?
Yes.
Do you live close by to this shop?
Yes.
Do you still run that place when you're not sunning in Miami?
No, and those are the only...
Just a second. The answer is no. What happened to that business at that location?
There's another operator coming in, and our contract ended recently. So there's another company coming in to run it.
Sounds like such a Ponzi scheme. The whole thing sounds like such a Ponzi scheme.
No, it's called COVID.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $8,000 when she produces the sealed item. Thank you very much. We're done here.
This court is adjourned.
This woman clearly had a bad episode of buyer's remorse, was emotionally unstable, used somebody else's credit cards that claims to be her husband, and God only knows what other kind of schemes she's trying to pull.
Well, I think the judge made a very sound decision because the guy is a total fraud.
She actually took advantage of me and took my time for 3.5, almost 4 hours, asking me, what is this? How does this work? What is this? How does that work? And I literally used all these products that she purchased and got to see results from that she was happy with when she left.
Absolutely manipulated me, went out of his way to manipulate me.
Well, she opened it in the store, so if she does return it, she'll have to seal it again with some kind of plastic sealer like they use like for those old VHS tapes when they used to seal them after you watched them from Hollywood Video.
Beware, because there's a lot of frauds out there.
I stand by my products.
The product is intact.
For once in my life, I am so glad that when I'm walking on the street, and we've encountered these people in our walks just around, like you said, around our neighborhood, for my resting bitch face. Because never once have they looked at me and said, she looks like an easy target for us to pull into the store. Not once.
Would you give me an example of...
Just, I think, living in New York City as a woman alone, taking the subway for 3 years.
I want you to look at me.
No, I can't recreate it. You know it when you see it. You know it when you see it. I'm sure it's on one of our episodes. But I just am so disgusted with people like that know exactly what they're doing. He suns himself in Miami on the weekends, all on the backs of these poor older people who feel pressured, and maybe like she was saying, she lives with someone who's a recluse, who I'm sure she doesn't speak to that many people, and that's the whole scam. And I just feel so terrible that this guy takes pride in his business that is scamming people.
It looks like a little bit of a shady business that he went into for $200,000, and now somebody else took it over.
And not anyone with a last name.
Yeah,
There's
right.
never anyone with a last name involved in these things.
People have to be careful. You know, in the law, caveat emptor, you know, let a buyer beware. That's okay. But this over-aggressive salesmanship reminds me, Sarah, of something that the Legal Aid Society, who were the defense team in family court, would argue in a closing statement in a robbery case to me. They would say to me, it's not a robbery. He was aggressively panhandling. That's what it was. It wasn't a robbery. It was an aggressive panhandle. This is just aggressive salesmanship, is what he's saying. Well, the line crosses between aggressive salesmanship and and what amounts to, at least in her case, and the case of at least two other people who went into that store feeling that they were uncomfortable about leaving unless they purchased something. You know, you and I are tough birds. We would, you know, you say, well, we're leaving. Oh, really? We're not leaving until we buy something? Yeah, right. But some people can't do that. That's not in their character. Anyway, you know, if somebody puts them out of business, another business will just pop up. Because as, I don't know, was it W.C. Fields said, there's a sucker born every minute. I'm not
Desiree Surratt is suing her ex-boyfriend, Curtis Vasquez, for the cost of a car and child care.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2195, Surratt versus Vasquez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Surratt, you and Mr. Vasquez were in a relationship for a period of time and have two children together. How old are the children?
I have a daughter that's 15 and a son that's 8.
How long did you and Mr. Vasquez live together, if you did live together?
It was a lot of off and on, so I would say maybe a combined time of 8 years.
And does your daughter enjoy a relationship with her father?
Unfortunately, no.
Is that correct?
As far as I knew, that she had a great relationship with me.
When was the last time you saw your daughter, sir?
We spoke just a couple of days ago. You know, she has more time with friends now, but I do speak with her on a frequent basis.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Why don't you wait outside? Okay? Because, Ms. Surratt, I don't believe in, unless it's absolutely necessary, and certainly in this situation, it doesn't sound to me as if it's absolutely necessary to have your teenage daughter as a witness over a couple of $1,000s, which you may or may not be entitled to. Certainly, her father is in touch with her. She said he's in touch with her, which means that they communicate and that they have a relationship. Because I read the complaint and I read the answer, and I have a few basic questions. You're suing Mr. Vasquez, who you haven't lived with in many, many years, but who you share, according to what I've read here, joint legal and physical custody. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that pursuant to a court order?
Yes.
And when was that court order made?
I have a copy of it, so I can tell you.
2011, Your Honor. 2011.
Was there a trial, Mr. Vasquez?
There was a trial, Your Honor, yeah.
Were you represented by counsel?
I represented myself.
And what about the plaintiff? Did she have a lawyer?
She did, Your Honor.
I'd like to see a copy of that order.
It was from 2017.
Well, there was one in 2011.
This is the original one. It hasn't changed since then. We have parenting and legal custody and a child support order, which is separate.
Oh, so the 2016 order, the ex parte order, originally granted Mr. Vasquez custody of the children. Yes, you were the respondent in that case. It said on October 28, 2016, petitioner, that is Mr. Vasquez, filed a motion to establish custody and parenting time. Petitioner, that is Mr. Vasquez, seeks joint legal and physical custody. The petitioner also sought an order granting sole legal custody of the children based upon the allegations that his daughter was watching his son without supervision for extended periods of time and that his daughter was not attending school. Child Protective Services did an investigation and actually found that you were not sending your daughter to school.
Correct.
And she was staying home and she was babysitting. Okay. Would you tell me, without my having to go through this whole thing, was there a child support order entered?
Yes.
Ultimately the children remained with you.
Correct.
The final order. And what was the child support order?
The child support order initially was $93 a month. I think I have a copy of it. And then to increase based off the cost of living adjustments every year.
Is that $93 a month for both children?
For both.
Okay. The order was ultimately increased. How much do you pay in child support now, sir?
$230 a month, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, that's not the order.
Well, I asked how much you pay. Were you ever in arrears of payment?
I was at one point, and then I cut up. So I've been cut
Well,
up.
that catching up, so that $230 may be hardly arrears. What is the order?
Oh, I'm completely caught up with my child support.
So the current order that you're paying is $230 a month?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. This is what you're suing for. It is your claim that Mr. Vasquez agreed to pay half of certain sporting fees that the children had that are not contained in the child support order, and he didn't. So you're suing him for that, and he says that you never had such an agreement, that you enrolled the children in sporting activities, and then came to him and said, do you owe me half? Am I reading that correctly?
Your Honor, that's correct.
That's your position.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so let's move on to the plaintiff's position that you wanted to change the child support order to not what he was paying, but what he was paying, and half of their sporting activities.
We actually had a verbal agreement.
Well, I'd like you to tell me when that took place, what you said to him, and what he said to you. So tell me first when that verbal agreement took place.
It was 2021, probably, just a conversation between two parents to say if we
not it's a conversation between two parents.
Right.
So he's seeing the children, he's paying his child support, whatever the order was. You have a conversation with him. Is it on the phone or in person? Mr. Vasquez, your father says that he gave you the money. It certainly wasn't today, because 2 weeks later, he writes back, if we could arrange for me to get the title while you were here, that would be awesome. So the story you just gave me was a whole lot of Who Shot John.
Desiree Surratt claims her ex-boyfriend, Curtis Vasquez, owes for the cost of a car and childcare. Curtis is countersuing for car repairs and vacation expenses.
Tell me first when that verbal agreement took place.
It was 2021, probably. Just a conversation between two parents to say if we enroll.
It's a conversation between two parents.
Right.
So he's seeing the children, he's paying his child support, whatever the order was. You have a conversation with him. Is it on the phone or in person?
No, in person.
At your home?
Yes.
Okay. And tell me about the conversation. What did you say to him and what did he say to you?
I don't remember the exact words, but...
Well, that's why we bring these things quickly, because now it's 2 years later.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it was basically, well, play this sport. Lena wants to do track. This is how much it's going to cost. And his response was just, okay, let me know how much it is, and I'll pay half.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's not quite correct. We don't have just conversation. We don't have any conversation at all. We communicate via text, and I rarely get a response. I've taken care of...
Just a second. We're talking about this one instance.
Okay.
She said that you had a conversation with her where you agreed to pay half of their sporting events. Based on that, I assume that you enrolled the children in the sporting events, paid the fee, and then said to him, this is your half. And he said, I'm not paying that half.
That's not correct, Your Honor. I didn't agree to pay half.
No, I'm not saying you agreed to pay half. That's what her position is.
I actually enrolled my son into soccer.
When?
It was this summer in July, and he was supposed to go for a month, and she took the kids out of the state without my knowledge for an extended vacation. And so I didn't have her pay half of that, and when she came back, she wanted to make that up to him, but that's without my knowledge.
Okay. How much did you pay for soccer?
$75.
So you never had a conversation with her about paying half of this. And it was never reduced to a modified order of the court because you have a court order for support. Okay, so I'm eliminating that. You want to change the order of support, you have to change it in court. Now let's move on to the second thing that you think that he owes you for. Cell phone. Let's hear about the cell phone.
He opened a cell phone account for my daughter.
When?
I don't know when it was.
When did you open a cell phone account, sir?
About 7 years ago.
And he paid it? He opened an account and he paid it?
Him or his dad. It was a business account.
I don't care.
I don't know
You
who
didn't
paid
pay it.
Correct. I didn't
You didn't pay it. So your daughter has had a cell phone for the last 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you didn't see the bills for it?
Correct.
Okay, so he paid it.
Somebody paid it, yes. Yeah.
He paid it.
I paid it, Your Honor.
You didn't pay it.
Correct.
Okay. So now you want money for a cell phone. For what?
Just for the last 6 months that I paid, I never agreed to, so I'm just asking for
Then
half
take
of
the
that.
phone away.
Well, she's 15. She's got
I
a
understand
job,
that.
and
I understand that. Who bought her the phone?
I bought the phone.
Okay. And how many years ago did you buy the phone?
It was about 1.5 years ago.
Okay. And it was paid for on his plan?
No, I paid for the phone cash.
No. The bills, ongoing bills, were paid for by him and the phone that you bought her 1.5 years ago, because you said you've been paying the bills for 6 months.
Yep.
Is that correct? Whitney, didn't you say I've been paying the bills for the last 6 months?
Yes. Correct.
Well, so when you first got the phone for a year, he was paying the bills.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Well, he was paying the bills for 7 years, but certainly after you bought the phone. But prior to that, she had a different phone. She had to have had a different phone because he was paying the phone bills for 6 years. Who bought that phone?
I don't know.
Your Honor, I purchased that phone. It was the iPhone XR.
Okay. So you bought the first phone, you bought a second phone. Very nice. And he paid the bills, the phone bills for 6 years, and you paid it for the last 6 months. It's not part of a court order. If you agree to do that, you agree to do that. What are you getting courts involved for?
I never agreed to pay the cell phone.
Well, he never agreed to pay his cell phone when she was 13 or 12. Your parents. He paid it for a long time. Now you're paying it. What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a realtor.
You work in a family business?
Absolutely.
Tell me about the family business.
It's children first and foremost. You know what's best for them.
No. The family business, sir.
Oh, the family business.
You're in real estate. Is it a family business?
It is not a family business.
It's just yours. And you've been in real estate for how long?
For about 3 years now. And prior to that, I was in sales. That is a family business, and it's real estate marketing.
That's a family business.
That's family business.
You're not involved with that anymore. You still are.
Yes.
Who owns that business?
Dad.
Your father?
He does, yes.
How many employees do you have?
Just about 10, Your Honor.
So your father employs 10 people and you're one of them?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And what does your father pay you annually?
Oh, it's commission only, so no benefits.
And in the other real estate operation, do you have your own office or do you operate out of your father's office?
My own office.
Where?
In Maple Grove, Minnesota.
Do you have any employees?
I don't.
So you work for your father on commission and yourself?
Commission only as well in the real estate market.
Okay. Did you file tax returns last year?
No, I did not.
Is there any reason for that?
Just late. Just over.
You're late. You're a year late.
Yeah.
What about the year before? Did you file tax returns?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And how much did you declare as income the year before last?
It's like 55, I think. 55,000, yep.
Okay, so phone bill, I've taken care of the phone bill. You paid it for her, fine. And if you don't want to pay it anymore, let her get an after-school job and pay for her own phone. Now, the next thing that you're suing for is, according to your complaint, you had a car that you weren't using. Mr. Vasquez has a father who wanted a car. It is your claim that Mr. Vasquez, without your permission, sold the car, your car, to his father for $700, and you didn't get any of that money.
Correct.
Mr. Vasquez says his father was going to buy the car. He drove it. He didn't want to buy it because it had issues, and it's sitting in his father's driveway waiting for you to come and get it, and that he never got $700 from his father for the car. That's his position, correct?
No, there's a correction. I did get $700 and paid him back the next day because the car broke down within a day.
Because what?
It broke down within a day.
Okay, so you did sell it to him?
Yes. We were in the middle of the transaction. He paid for the car at the office, which is about 10 miles away from home. And while driving the car home, it broke down. So we hadn't received the title or anything, so I returned the money.
Okay, you planned a trip to Portugal in August of 2022.
That's correct.
Airplane tickets. Where'd you get the money for all that?
Desiree Surratt has accused her ex-boyfriend, Curtis Vasquez, of selling her car without her permission. Curtis claims he refunded the money, and she can take the car back.
Okay, so you did sell it to him?
Yes, yes. We were in the middle of the transaction. He paid for the car at the office, which is about 10 miles away from home. And while driving the car home, it broke down. So we hadn't received the title or anything, so I returned the money.
Is the car still titled in your name?
Yes.
So go get it.
I don't want the car, no.
Well, it's your car. It's titled in your name.
Yes, but apparently I have text messages showing he sold the car without my permission.
Whether he did or not, well, he can't sell the car because title never transferred.
Right.
And he's saying you can go and get the car. It's sitting in the driveway. Father doesn't want it. Title didn't transfer. He didn't get money for the car and keep it. It was a sort of silly transaction because what you are suggesting is he should have said to his father, that's it, it was sold, it's sold as is. You can't have your $700 back.
Right, and my understanding is that his dad, through a conversation that I had with his dad did not get the money back.
You can't tell me about the conversation. If you have text messages between them, I would like to see them.
I do, yes. So there's those text messages. And I also have several text messages where Curtis agrees to pay me the money and also telling me the
This
car
is
ran
Desiree.
phenomenal.
Curtis said you would take possession of the Kia, but I asked about the title. Big Curtis, is that your father?
Your Honor, yes, it is.
Okie dokie. Mr. Vasquez, your father says that he gave you the money.
That's correct.
And that it certainly wasn't a day, because 2 weeks later, he writes back, sorry, not good at checking my text. If we could arrange for me to get the title while you were here, that would be awesome. That's 2 weeks later. Your father didn't say to her, he gave me the money back. He said, I want the title. That's 2 weeks later. So the story you just gave me was a whole lot of who shot John.
Well, Your Honor, there's just one thing that we need to clear up right away is that it was never sold without her knowledge.
Just a second. Now what I'm asking you, sir, I'm saying that your original story to me was that I sold my father the car with her agreement. That's what you say here, right, for $700. He gave me the $700, but am I correct, Whitney, that the car broke down the next day?
He said the car broke down within a day.
Within a day, and so you gave him his money back. Well, that's not what your father says here, sir. That's not what your father says here.
I went back and forth with him for days, but I gave him his money back.
No, what you told me was a lie. You told me it broke down the day you gave him his money back. The initial conversation she had was May 9th. And then May 16th, she's having a conversation with Big Curtis. That's your father. Mm-hmm. Sorry for not checking my texts. Can you get me the title? Which means 2 weeks later, he wanted the title. And then your father says about you, Curtis owes me big-time money, and I can't get money from him either. That's your father.
Oh, yeah? That's
yes.
Correct, Your Honor.
Big Curtis says to her, can you tell me what problem does Curtis have that caused him to spend massive amounts of money in such a short period of time? She answers, drugs, alcohol, gambling, he's a functional addict. He even got around $40,000, and he blew every penny. So the $700 you gave him for the car, I'm just going to file a small claims. For whatever reason, he's refusing to give it to me. It's not your fault that he stole the money from me. Just FYI, I have no issue giving you the title. Okay. So far, he owes you $700 for the car. And then we're finished. Get Big Curtis the title. Mail it to him. He sends you his address.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Great. Now you have a counterclaim, Mr. Vasquez.
Yes, Your Honor. I have some evidence I'd like to present.
Don't give me all that nonsense. You say that the plaintiff canceled a vacation trip. You made plane arrangements to take your children somewhere, and she took the children out of state. And car repairs that you gave her money for, car repairs, $250. I helped her repair her car and spent $250 on parts. When was that?
That was the car in question that we were just talking about.
Okay, you planned a trip to Portugal in August of 2022.
That's correct.
Airplane tickets. Where'd you get the money for all that?
My parents helped me with the purchase of the kids' tickets.
Why?
Because I couldn't afford all of them.
Who was going on the trip?
It was going to be my wife, myself, and 2 kids.
Did you go on the vacation to Portugal with your wife?
No, we did not make it.
You did not make it?
Correct.
Why?
Because she is responsible of...
No, not her. Not with your 2 kids. Did you go with your wife?
No, I didn't.
Why?
I didn't want to go without the kids. It was the whole purpose was to bring the kids to see the grandparents.
Does your wife work?
Yes.
What kind of work does she do?
She's a bartender.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $700. Don't make any more private agreements with him, madam. I think it's a big mistake.
I
We're
agree.
done. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're
Your Honor.
finished.
Thank you.
I had one more.
I just ruled that your counterclaim is dismissed.
Okay, Your Honor.
You're finished.
I'm a little disappointed that I didn't get everything that I felt that I was owed.
Well, a bit disappointed. I felt like I had a lot more coming my way.
Number one, I will not do him any favors.
I've taken care of my kids financially for the last 7 years.
Especially of monetary value.
She feels entitled to 6 months, so be it, but I didn't agree to it.
I hope that this is kind of a wake-up call to him
It's completely ridiculous. I'm just tired of having my name dragged through the mud.
to do honest business, whether it's in personal relationship or business.
I take care of my kids.
He's got a long history of owing money, not paying it back.
Always have, and always will, regardless.
He runs through family and friends and he'll dry your pocketbooks and laugh out the door. He doesn't care.
Claim money for a cell phone that, I bought. And, I think this is all to do with spite.
Just my kids. At the end of the day, whatever's best for them.
I just want to be there for the kids, and I just want to be done with the drama.
I have very little to say about that case, very little thoughts, except that Big Curtis, the defendant's father, doesn't like him.
I didn't get to read the messages, but
Clearly.
I'll
He
take
said,
your
what
word
is he
for it."
doing with all the money? My initial reading of that
Yeah.
case was maybe she's being unreasonable. She's really not being unreasonable.
Yeah.
I have a feeling there's not a lot more to little Curtis than we were able to see
Yeah.
today.
Mary Favre and Jason Stockton are suing Mary's brother, Michael Manry, for medical bills and personal belongings.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2117, Farr Stockton versus Manry.
Thank you, Kevin. Mr. Manry, this is your sister,
Correct.
and that is her,
Fiance.
and you have a son who is 19.
Yes, Your Honor.
How many other children do you have?
I have 3 altogether.
How old?
One is almost 30, the other one is 18, and then I got the 19-year-old, which one here.
Okay. And your son, who is now 19, is the subject of this case. Who had custody of the children?
I got custody of Dakota now,
When did you get custody of the children?
only when he was 18 years old.
Do you have those papers, sir?
Yes, I do.
May I see them, please? Okay, so this grants you, sir, legal and physical custody of Dakota Manry until further order of the court. So what this case is about now, and I assume from what I've read, that Dakota has certain special needs.
Yes, ma'am.
And because of his special needs, he is unemployed. Did he finish any sort of a high school?
He graduated.
He graduated from
Yes.
high school?
Yes.
Did he go to a special school?
He went to a regular school, but he was in special education.
And when he graduated, did he graduate when he was living with you?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what your case is about. At some point, according to you, you have a niece. And your niece wanted to have Dakota come and stay with her for a couple of days. You were, at the time, according to your answer, sort of in between residences. You were evicted from one place and going someplace else?
I was in the process of moving. I got my niece to go with me to, ask her if she'll bring me to go get Dakota by my cousin's house. And she said, sure.
Okay. Dakota went to live, for a few days at least, at your niece's house.
No, not live there. No, not live there. No, ma'am.
Well, he was there overnight.
He was over there overnight. He asked,
How many nights was he there overnight?
I think about maybe a week. I was supposed to be
Okay.
3 days.
So he was there.
Yeah.
During that time, you, who are his aunt,
yes, ma'am,
went to your niece's house and you saw Dakota there.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to you, became concerned because, according to you, it looked like he hadn't showered in a week.
He was in dirty clothes. He just looked awful.
So you decided to take him to live with you.
I asked him, I said, do you want him to the house to stay, a little while, where he can eat and all that, because he looked like he hadn't ate either.
Okay. Well, this is what your case is about. You decided to take him, didn't discuss it with his father. During the time he was with you, he had some expenses. You want his father to be responsible for those expenses, and you want his father to return certain of his personal property. That's what the case is about.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First, let me deal with all things legal. I have an order here dated January 21st, 2021, which grants physical and legal custody of Dakota to his father. Do you have any subsequent order granting you custody or guardianship, is my question.
I have power of attorney.
That is not the same thing. Can I see what they have?
Power of attorney when I didn't give a permission. I got custody. Okay.
Okay, this was signed by Dakota, so he's giving you legal power to act on his behalf.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Dakota, by signing this power of attorney, he's saying that I am a whole person, and I give you the right to make medical decisions for me if he can't do them. It's a general power of attorney in case he becomes unable to make decisions on his own. This is an order of custody. You have power of attorney. Power of attorney suggests to me that Dakota wants to emancipate himself from his father, wants someone else to act on his behalf. It becomes a complex question because if Dakota has special needs and if he can't act on his own, and a court has already ruled that his father should have custody of him, either you have a power of attorney and he's emancipated, in which case his father's not responsible for any of his medical bills, or this is invalid because he can't sign a power of attorney because he doesn't have the mental capacity to understand all of the implications of this power of attorney. Now, your nephew was in special classes.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know what the nature of his disabilities are?
Fetal alcohol syndrome.
Is that his diagnosis, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
He had, according to you, after you took him from your niece's house, and you do acknowledge you took him without his father's permission.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
We was not talking, me and him.
It doesn't make any difference if you were talking or not.
I didn't have his number, and I asked Dakota, I said, text your daddy to let him know you're coming with me. Dakota said, and he showed me where he texted Michael. Now, I don't know if it was on a different Facebook page.
No, it's your responsibility to notify his guardian, who has custody, that you have taken physical custody of him.
Right.
And when did you take physical custody of him? Give me the month, day, and year.
May 20th of this year, 2022.
Now, while you had physical custody of Dakota, you indicate that he had surgery.
Yes, ma'am.
And part of what you want Mr. Manry to pay for is the ambulance bill. What kind of surgery did he have?
Brain surgery, and he had a feeding tube put in him.
Just a second. What caused you to take him to a hospital or to a doctor?
Your Honor, when he arrived at the house on the 20th, he had very bad slurred speech, and his balance was completely off. He was falling over. Your Honor, it was like he was a drunken man.
Let me go back to you for a second, sir. While Dakota was with you in the months just prior to May, did you notice Dakota having difficulty in his gait?
Not like he was explaining to me, I was going overboard.
No, did you?
But his balance was off, okay.
Did you inquire? Did you take him to the doctor?
I did. I took him, actually, right after I got him.
So you saw that balance was off a while ago?
When I noticed that he had headaches, all right, because his dream, thanks to me, was wrestling. He loves wrestling. I put him in wrestling. I talked to the promoters, and I did that for him. But when I seen every time he got body slammed, and this and that, I had to take him out of it. I got concerned because he was complaining of headaches. So I made an appointment, and I waited for a referral. Well, when the referral came in, my kid was kidnapped.
So he never actually saw the second doctor?
No.
Okay. Do you have any records?
Well, I couldn't get the records. I tried to get them.
Once someone went wrong, my kid died doing surgery. I couldn't even be there for him and all that. Anything could have happened.
Just a second. I'm following you, sir. Now, when did you take him for this brain surgery?
I took him the first week of June. I took him to do a CAT scan. And as soon as she did that, we went to the hospital. We didn't leave the hospital. They put him in the ER. And from the ER, we went to Florence, Alabama. And then the surgeons there couldn't do it because it was so big.
What was so big?
Your Honor,
brain.
they found a mass the size of a grapefruit. The first week, Dakota came to stay with us after we noticed the balance issues and the slurred speech. She took him to Dr. who diagnosed him with being severely malnutritioned. Your Honor, when he came to my house, his
liar.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. Your Honor, sorry. My apologies.
His leg was no bigger around than my wrist.
I got it. Mr. Manry, everything has to be put in perspective. You had a lot of things going on. And if Mr. Stockton's reporting to me is accurate, even though there might be some bad feeling of the way your sister and her fiancé took physical custody of Dakota, you really have to be in a position to say thank you to them, because you, for whatever reason, not for lack of trying, nobody is suggesting for lack of trying, you did try to take him to a doctor. You did see that there were things wrong with him. I understand that it's not always that easy to get the right specialist to get involved in this kind of surgery, but you really have to take a breath. Yeah. And I assume it's accurate, because I cannot assume that anybody would perform brain surgery on a child that was not necessary. That
okay, why she couldn't call me?
She should. Just a second. Just a second. Your sister should have called you and told you that Dakota was going into the hospital to have surgery. That would have been the nice thing to do. Did you do that?
She did.
No, she did not.
She called.
I called
their
my mom.
mother.
Well, calling your mother.
His phone was disconnected. I did not have the new number until he called me or texted me with a bunch of drama. That's when I got his number.
You took my kid from me. You kidnapped my son no matter what.
Mr. Manry, what I want you to do is just take a breath for a moment.
Yes, ma'am. Dakota kept texting me, you know, he kept on like video chatting me and everything. And then all of a sudden, like a light switch, he changed and everything. The boy's mind's being poisoned by Mary and
No,
Daisy.
so far, Mr. Manry, you're not losing this case, so I don't know what you're agitated about.
Mary Favre and Jason Stockton claim Mary's brother, Michael Manry, owes for medical bills and personal belongings. Michael is countersuing, saying they illegally took his son from his custody.
Mr. Manry, Dakota was only at your niece's house for a short while. You already told me that when he came to you, his gate was off. So right before he went to stay for a couple of days at your niece's house, was his speech slurring?
No, he always had a speech impairment because of the disability, but his speech was not slurred at all. That is a lie. Him having the skinny arms and all, that's all
Okay,
lie.
I'm not talking about skinny arms. I'm talking about his slurred speech. What I was saying to you, Mr. Manry, is that I don't think there are any bad guys here. I don't think that you're a bad guy. And I don't think that your sister and her fiancé meant any harm when they saw a situation that they thought was dangerous. And as it turned out, they were able to get him seriously needed medical care. That doesn't mean it was all done right. But what you're asking for is to be compensated by the defendant for the cost of the ambulance bill that you incurred. Now, this power of attorney was signed by Dakota, if in fact he had capacity to sign this power of attorney. It was done 2 weeks after his first surgery. So up until that time, even if I could construe this as a valid document, his father had legal and physical custody of Dakota. And I assume that's because he had special needs and is unable to live on his own. Is your son able to live on his own?
No, he never will.
Okay, so that's what I assume as a result of this order. If you want this order changed, you have to go back to the court in Mississippi. You have to be declared his guardian.
Your Honor, we did not want to be declared his guardian. The reason the POA came about to start with, during the entire surgical...
Your Honor, can I say something?
The father was aware of it. So was the mother. The mother was actually present at most all of the appointments.
It doesn't matter. The mother doesn't have custody, legal or physical.
We were under the impression, and were told she did, that he only had a temporary custody. So she showed up to say she had to sign all the documents. She was going to do this. She was going to do this. She was going to do this.
Did she sign the documents?
She signed some. Then under social services directions, Mary was informed she should go after a power of attorney. It was discussed with both Dakota and her.
It may be. That's not a lawyer. That's bad advice. Now, just before I get to the issue of clothing, property, whatever he has that's at your house, and where it should go from here, your first stop is to go back to the court in Mississippi that issued this order. Yes, ma'am. And say to them, I need Dakota's law guardian. He'll be appointed a guardian for himself, independent of you, and they will interview him and they will do certain evaluations of him and determine where it is that he wants to live. But you have to do that in court. You can't do that ad hoc because you relied on his mother's statements that she had the authority to sign off on these things. She did not until this is changed. And if you want to change it, you are free to go in and try, and then Dakota will be interviewed and seen by a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and he'll have a medical evaluation and determine whether or not he is a person who actually requires guardianship. And if he requires guardianship, you can petition for that, and you'll have a trial. This is not that trial.
Yes, ma'am.
Did Dakota have Medicare?
Medicaid.
He had Medicaid.
That would pay for the ambulance ride.
Yeah, I just want to know if he had Medicaid. He did.
I did give them the Medicaid number, and they keep sending me a bill, and I called them, and they said because it's a different state, it's not covered.
It doesn't matter. Tell them to send their bills to his father. Tell them that you do not have custody or guardianship of this child. His father has custody, guardianship, and this bill is not yours.
The bill is going to Dakota. They're going after Dakota for it. His Medicaid didn't pay for it.
They may be going after Dakota for it. They will be very smart seeking payment from people who can pay them, which is his parents. Right now, you're not legally responsible to pay for his ambulance bill. The only person who might be legally responsible for it is his father, and that will be up to the ambulance company to do. This is not your responsibility at all. So discount the ambulance bill. Next to Dakota's things, you want property that he has in his father's house. So let me go back to you with regard to my statement to you 4 minutes ago. You have to have this custody order modified. You have to go back to the same court that issued a legal and physical custody order of Dakota to his father and say, we would like guardianship of him. He wants to stay with us. He's 19 years old. He will be interviewed. He'll be analyzed. And if at the end of the day you get guardianship of Dakota, then his father may or may not turn over whatever property he has. Dakota's never worked. So whatever property he has was either purchased or given to him by either his mother or his father or other relatives.
A lot of it was his mom that paid for the stuff.
I don't know that.
No, the bottom line is why all this boils down to, Your Honor.
So far, Mr. Manry, you're not losing this case, so I don't know what you're agitated about. You're not losing. You're not losing. What I'm telling the plaintiffs is that if they think that they can provide a more pleasant, stable environment for Dakota, they have the right to petition for guardianship of him. Now, it would be in Dakota's best interest long-term if he were to have contact with both his mother and his father. Contact. I'm not saying live with. Mother, father, and his aunt, and his soon-to-be uncle, as soon as you make up your mind and give her a ring. It's in his best interest. He needs the largest community that he can.
I agree.
Okay, we're going to stop throwing barbs because that only serves to inflame already raw emotions. I want you to say, I am angry that I wasn't consulted in this massive surgery that your son had, but I'm grateful that it was done, because if it wasn't done, in all probability, he wouldn't be here. You just have to think about that.
Mary Favre and Jason Stockton have accused Mary's brother, Michael Manry, of owing for an ambulance bill. Michael claims Mary and Jason took his son without his permission.
What I'm telling you is a very simple procedural thing where you have to go. You can't sue him for the return of Dakota's things unless you have guardianship of Dakota.
Understood.
Because he already is the subject of a recent order of custody from a court. That's what you have to have. You can take that bill from the ambulance service, put it in an envelope, we'll get you the address, and that's where that goes. That's his father, who is his legal parent under this order. So send that bill to them so you don't have to worry about that bill. As far as his property is concerned, that has to go along with an order of custody or guardianship, and that's something that you should do. But, Mr. Manry, I am not making a decision with regard to his custody or not. What I'm asking you is, until a court reviews whatever orders they're going to make with regard to custody and guardianship, first, I know you may be angry, but they probably saved his life by getting him to the doctor that they did. And if they removed a massive tumor from his brain, you should say, thank you for doing that, because it was a month after he was living with you. Someone else took your son and saved his life. And for that, at least, you have to be grateful. You can be angry. You can be angry that you didn't get it done before. You can be angry that somebody else did it without consulting you. You can be angry at all of those things. But at the same time, you have to feel grateful that it was done.
There wasn't no reason they kidnapped my son.
Okay. Mr. Manry, you keep going back to the same song.
I was worried about
You keep going back to the same song. And what I'm saying to you is, their next stop, if Dakota wants to live with them, and he's right now over 19 years old, is to the court who issued the order to modify that order. All I'm saying to you is, I want you to say, I am angry that I wasn't consulted or didn't participate in this massive surgery that your son had. But I'm grateful that it was done, because if it wasn't done, in all probability, he wouldn't be here. You just have to think about that. What I'm telling you is, you have to love your child more than you, at this moment, dislike your sister and her fiancé, because they were able to take control of a situation and get your child fixed. So is Dakota, just for my own, is Dakota angry with his father?
He's angry that his father won't return any of his wrestling. He is correct. He is a huge wrestling fanatic.
Okay. What particularly does he want? He wants his wrestling?
He wants his wrestling belts. They have replica belts that were made. He wanted his PlayStation 4 and the wrestling games.
PlayStation 4, I'm not interested in that. He wants his wrestling belts.
Yes, ma'am.
Yana, can I show you something right quick on my phone? Dakota kept texting me, you know, he kept on like video chatting me and everything. And then all of a sudden, like a light switch, he changed and everything. The boy's mind's being poisoned by Mary and Jason.
What I'm telling you, Mr. Manry, that's for another court and another day. When Dakota has a lawyer, you may have a lawyer to modify this custody order. Right now, he would like his wrestling belts.
Oh, I want my son to come home.
Okay, then I strongly urge you to go to the court, file a petition against them for custodial interference, or you go to court and file an application for guardianship of Dakota, which is a much more positive thing to do, and let a court that has the social work services, the psychiatric services, evaluate Dakota and figure out in whose best interests are we supposed to place faith. And I think if he is a thinking young man, and you told me that he is because he wants these things that are important to him, he should be able to have a say with whom he lives. Now, you have my ruling. Your next stop, folks, is to modify the order of the court in Mississippi that gave his father custody, physical and legal custody of him. You have to petition for guardianship. That's your next step. So, in that regard, your case is dismissed. Send the ambulance bill to his father.
I got a counter-suit,
We're done.
Your Honor.
Yeah, I'm not hearing it, sir.
Okay. I did everything I can for my kids, and
My brother, he said nothing but lies.
when somebody takes your kid without your permission,
But, you know, that's him. I mean, that's what he does.
you don't know where they're at, and you're going crazy because you don't know where your kid's at, that's kidnapping.
I should get a thank you out of it, but he's not going to do that.
I want my son to come home to his daddy because I love him very much. That's my son.
It's about him. It's not about her. It's not about her and her brother. It's not about me and her brother.
My son, I love him. I'd do anything in the world for him.
It's about Dakota.
So you didn't listen to the defendant's counterclaim back there for emotional distress for, I believe it was $3,500. I would have given that to him. I don't think anyone was acting maliciously in this case. Like you said to the father, he should be grateful that his son is alive and his sister took action when he might have been stumbling a little bit. But that's what that cause of action is for, when someone takes an action that was legally incorrect. And here, the plaintiffs had no legal right to take him to get that surgery. I agree that he should have had it and it all came from a good place. However, when you take an action that causes somebody else such severe emotional distress, and I would consider taking someone else's child in for the riskiest surgery that probably exists, qualifies as causing some severe emotional distress. So I probably would have awarded him that if I was really.
Well, so let me give you the reason that I didn't bother to hear it. I think the aunt and her fiance had nothing but pure motives in taking this 19-year-old who they say appeared to be malnourished and they say was diagnosed as being malnourished, which is possible, and it's possible that it was all related to this brain tumor that he clearly had that was impairing his stability, and he was with his father for a year while this tumor was growing. I don't think that they had malicious intent.
Neither do I.
And I think that but for their actions, this 19-year-old boy probably would be dead. If they took out the tumor that was the size of a grapefruit, I would say 6 months later or 8 months later, there's a strong probability that would affect the optic nerve, affect the carotid artery, and gone. So although I could understand his annoyance, from the time they went to live with him until his surgery was a month. And I actually don't believe that this father didn't know where he was for a month, because they evidently have a living mother who they're both in touch with. He was moving around, phone disconnected. At the hospital, the mother showed up. She said, I can sign the documents. Well, you know, you're involved in major surgery for a child. Your focus is not on your brother, who did not take care of business for a year. So I'm going to leave that up to a family court judge to determine who should have custody, and I probably guarantee you that custody will remain with his aunt, because that's what Dakota wants. Father may be angry, but that's what's going to happen. I have no doubt that the father loves him. He did not take good care of him for the year.
Sure.
And so I wasn't going to reward that by giving him any money against these people who had nothing but the child's best interests, when for a year he really didn't take care of business with his son. And that's why I didn't hear his case for emotional distress.
Understood.
Is suing her niece, Janelle Laws, and her stepdaughter, Ari Scales, for the cost of a car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2130, Laws versus Law, Scales.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Laws, this young woman is your niece.
Yes.
And this young lady is the ward of your niece.
Yes.
You have guardianship over her. Is she related to you?
No, she's related to my wife.
Okay. But you have guardianship.
We both do.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
You had an automobile.
Yes.
It was an automobile that you allowed your niece to use, and it was at her house.
Yes.
That was in September of 2020. Her car was in the shop, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, your niece went out of town for a while?
Yes.
Do you remember what date that was?
October 17th of 2020.
And prior to your going out of town, had Miss Scales ever driven the car?
No.
Had you ever given her permission to drive the car?
No.
And Miss Scales, there did come a time in October of 2020 that you took the car.
Yes.
Tell me how you managed to get a hold of the car.
So the keys, we have a key hook in the front of our house, and I just used the keys there.
Did you ask anyone?
No.
Tell me why.
I had a scare that I was afraid to do by myself.
What kind of scare?
A pregnancy scare.
Okay. So you took the car to go where?
To who I was dating at the time.
What time of the day did you take the car?
Between the times of 4 and 6 p.m.
And at what time did you have an accident with the car?
I would say between 7 and 8 p.m.
Had you already seen the boyfriend?
No.
Where were you between 7 and 8? Where were you
Driving.
going? Driving to who?
To the boyfriend.
Oh, so it takes a while to get there?
Yes.
How long?
About an hour.
In any event, you had an accident.
Yes.
The car was totaled. You had insurance?
Yes.
And had you told your niece that you had insurance on the car?
Yes.
Okay, because she says that you had told her you had insurance on the car and you had a loan on the car. There was a note.
That's correct.
So when she borrowed the car, she knew it was insured. Did you also tell her that you had the gap insurance?
Yes.
And what year, make, and model of car was it?
A 2015 Mitsubishi Mirage.
Did you buy it new or used?
Brand new.
And how long was the loan on the car?
6 or 7 years. I think it was 6.
So by 2020, you had paid up most of the car.
Yes.
What was the balance left on the car?
I'm not exactly sure the exact balance that was left on the car.
Okay. How much did you pay for the car?
I paid $17,000. That's what it was financed at, so that's not with the finance charges.
Okay, so you paid $17,000. How much of a down payment did you put down?
I didn't put any money down on it.
So in 5 years, between 2015 and 2017, you paid off about 80% of the car.
Yes.
What's the car worth now?
Based on 75,000 miles in good condition, I'm seeing between $5,500 and $7,500.
Okay. Now, after the accident, you put in a claim through your insurance.
Yes.
And your insurance covered how much?
The insurance paid out $7,379.
They wrote a check to the bank?
Yes, ma'am.
And can I see the paperwork on that, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Because what you're suing for now is another $8,496.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so your insurance also paid on the other car that you had the accident with. You had an accident with a Ford Focus?
Yes.
Okay, so they paid $2,900 on that, and they paid you $7,379.
Yes, ma'am.
And show me what the note balance was on the car at the time that they paid this out, which would have been sometime in 2020 or maybe 21.
You want the balance after they paid out or before they paid out?
Both.
Okay. This is after they paid out.
And before.
I don't have a copy of what it was owed on before the accident.
Oh, I need a whole payout because what your niece says is that they paid you the value of the car, which clearly it was the value of the car, because the value of the car, according to Sarah, is between $5,000 and $7,000. They paid you $7,379, which clearly covered a substantial part of your note. Mm-hmm. What the defendant is saying is that during COVID, for financial reasons, you had requested that the payments be put on hold.
Right.
And that you not make any payments on the car, and that the interest would continue to accrue.
Right.
And that that's not her fault. You asked to have the payments put off, but you drove the car. You had the benefit of driving the car all during COVID.
Right.
And she shouldn't be penalized. The insurance company paid out what the car was worth. These additional charges are because you put off making the payments during COVID, and it also accrued that interest. That's your defense. Am I right?
Yes.
That I have to see.
Okay.
I don't want to hear it. I want to see it.
The paper that you have there, that's from, it shows that a payment was made on that car on September 4th, 2020, and that was the last payment that was made. So if there were no payments being made during that time that she had the car, it was.
That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, when COVID started, did you put the payments on hold?
I did, because I was no longer working, so they gave me the option to delay my payment, which means they tack them on to the end.
I understand that, but you were driving the car. You were driving the car. She's not going to pay for that.
She had the car from the beginning of September, and she was only supposed to have it for 3 days when her car got fixed.
It doesn't matter. First of all, you didn't bring me the documentation that I need. You didn't bring me what was actually owed on the car and what was owed on the car and how much was owed as a result of your deferring payments and interest.
When I did the stop payments on the car, it was before she even borrowed it.
Well, that may be, madam, but if what you're telling me is you started to pay again, you still drove the car when you deferred payments.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, well, that's not her responsibility.
But the balance that's left on the car, they paid what the value of the car was. They said that they don't pay finance charges. So there was a balance of 37.
Well, the finance charges were finance charges that accrued, and you don't have the paperwork for me here.
$3,700 worth of finance charge for 2 months?
No, that's not for 2 months. I don't know what the finance charges were for. It doesn't say that. You don't have the paperwork here. You don't have the right paperwork. So you have to understand something. What you're suing her for is $8,496. First of all, the car is only worth $5,000. You got $7,300 that the insurance company paid directly to the lender. And I don't have what you owed here before the accident. I don't have that. And the payments that you deferred, if you deferred payments prior to that time, that's your responsibility.
But I only deferred payments for 3 months. That's not going to
Just a
amount
second.
to $3,700.
I have no idea. You should have brought the paperwork. This is not that paperwork.
So I'm out of a whole car. Like, I've invested almost $10,000 into this car. I let her use the car, and
that's what your insurance for.
And now I'm just not out only the $3,700. Now it's been late charges and other charges on that, and now it's $6,000 that's on my credit.
You deferred the payments. I can't tell how many months you deferred the payments. You said maybe I deferred 3 payments. I don't know. You didn't bring me the paperwork.
I deferred.
You can't tell me.
If she would have never had the car, then I would have been responsible totally to pay all of that amount. It's cost me more than just this amount that's still on my credit.
She didn't do anything wrong so far. I mean, you have a 21-year-old girl who shouldn't have taken the car keys without permission.
And later today,
you write to her that you saw her take some stuff, and you say to her, so don't tell me you don't steal from me. Friends don't steal from friends, so I won't burn you for what I borrowed. You should think twice before you steal from, because I could say, I'm not giving you nothing.
Jennifer Laws claims her niece, Janelle Laws, and her stepdaughter, Ari Scales, owe the balance on her car after Ari totaled it in an accident.
She says you deferred the payments. That was the reason for these overages, which I can understand, because otherwise the insurance company, and if you had gap insurance, which you say you did, would have paid any gap between the loan.
My gap insurance was only until a certain amount of time, and then after that, the gap insurance only pays a certain amount.
I don't know any of that. What I need from you, you didn't bring. You brought only what was necessary to put forth your position. I need what was owed on the car, and for past due payments with accrued interest, and for current payments. And you don't have that. So far, all I know is you had full insurance on this car, and the full insurance was paid. And if there was a reason that the insurance company, for some reason, didn't pay an amount of money, I don't have an explanation of that here in what you gave me, except the explanation that she offers, which was during COVID, you deferred your payments and the interest was accruing, and that the insurance company was not going to pay because that was done prior to October.
That's not
2020.
That's not true. I deferred 1 or 2 payments.
Well, 2 minutes ago, was that 3 payments?
Because, ma'am, I'm sorry. Let me just explain that. During this time, April 2020, I lost my mother to COVID. So I had 2 cars. I had the pink car, and I had the car that I gave to my mom, which is a black car, which was also in my name, that I was responsible for. The car that I put the deferred payments on was the Kia Optima. That's the one that I put the deferred payments on. This car, I had a couple late payments, but I never stopped paying that car note.
I can't tell you. You don't have the paperwork. All that I can tell you is the insurance company paid everything that they were supposed to pay, including the gap insurance for this accident. So I can't help you.
Did not pay.
Listen to me. I'm not going to repeat myself. This doesn't tell me how much you owed prior to the accident and what it was for. And if it shows that all you owed currently prior to the accident, it had to show that that was $73.79 and it included the gap insurance. You may have had old finance fees that had nothing to do with her.
The gap insurance never paid.
I can't help you, madam. You don't have the right paperwork.
If she would have never had the car, then I would have been responsible totally to pay all of that amount. But because I don't have a car, it disrupted my life. It's cost me more than just this amount that's still on my credit.
She didn't do anything wrong so far. I mean, you have a 21-year-old girl who shouldn't have taken the car keys without permission. But the car was there, and it was there with your permission, and there's no question that the accident was her fault.
I have been asking her to return my car.
If you have the proof, the only thing I want you to show me is a document from your lender which says how much was owed at the time of the accident and for what. Do you have that?
I don't, because I didn't think that I needed it.
Okay, well, then I can't help you. Today's a court day. This is the day you have.
I have a ton of evidence here.
Madam, you don't have the evidence that I need. Your request for $9,000 for a $5,000 car in which you've already been paid $7,300 is ridiculous. So all I have to see is how much was deferred and the interest on the accrued that you deferred while you were using the car before she had it for this 5 or 6 weeks that she had it in September. If you have that, I'll look at it. If you don't have it, I'm not interested. Do you have
the paperwork that you have?
Well, then I'm going to give it back to you, and you're going to show me where it shows here in October of 2020 how much you owed on the car and how much were past payments and finance charges based on the last payments. You understand what you gave me? If I could make this as simple as possible for you, if you never loaned her the car, if you had the car for that 5-week period and you had an accident with the car during that 5-week period, you would be in the exact same position you are now. The company would have paid off what they paid and would not have paid off what you still owed them because you deferred payments. It doesn't matter who was driving the car.
And I do understand
okay,
that.
Good.
And
I'm glad you understand. I'm glad you understand it.
My car.
I'm glad you understand that. Your case is dismissed. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
She needed to borrow my car.
It was just a bad accident. It was just me, young, got into an accident.
So I thought that I was helping her. You know, so when this balance is due, I'm the one that's out.
The car hit me and ran the light and it hit me.
You know, I'm the one that suffered. I'm the one that got to pay all of that money.
I'm fine.
So I don't think that that was fair at all.
So for a period of time, let's say 6 or 7 months, her numbers kept changing. First it was 3 months she didn't pay, and then it was 1 or 2 months that she didn't say, and she may have been late a little bit. Well, the insurance company's not going to give you credit for that. And it didn't look to me, based on the papers, that there was any animus between the parties until
right now.
Today. And then maybe she should be angry with me and not at them. But they all know each other and get along with each other. So that the amount of money she has to pay is the amount of money she should have paid while she was driving the car but chose to defer.
And I think that that's a good lesson about deferring payments, especially now with COVID and everything. I know people my age, 25, around there, have been deferring payments, whether it be for car notes or for interest on your loans, things like that, that sometimes she didn't even realize that this was all accruing under the surface. So you think that by deferring, if you don't read the fine print, that could be a good lesson that if
and she said she had a lot of other things going on in her life, but that...
And again, it was an accident. They don't call it an on purpose.
That's right.
Case 2133, Morrissey versus Comer. All parties, please come forward.
Tabitha Morrissey is suing her former friend, Tina Comer, for an unpaid loan and personal belongings.
Ms. Morrissey, you have a lot of claims here against the defendant for a personal loan and the value of personal belongings.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. She was a friend of yours. You used to go gambling together, Ms. Morrissey?
Yes, we did.
How many times a week did you go gambling?
Probably once or twice a week.
And did you go just the two of you?
Yes.
And over what period of time?
Over...
A year, 2, 3?
Probably a year.
There was a time when you went, and according to you, Miss Comer didn't have any money. And so you agreed to advance her money. And she says, actually, you agreed to advance her money. And the agreement was if you won, she would pay you back with her winnings, whatever it was. Whatever it was. How much money did you give her to gamble?
I loaned her $230 with the agreement that she would pay me an extra $200 because she was going to get her mother's inheritance.
Okay. On what date?
April 28, 2022.
Okay. And you went gambling with her?
No. She came by and we were going to go meet at the casino, but I didn't really want to do it because I have a boyfriend that doesn't
Just a second. I don't need a whole story.
Okay. All right, sorry. So she went to the casino without me, and then she came by my house after that and told me that she spent her boyfriend's money at the casino, and so that she was supposed to use it at the store. And so I gave her the money to cover that, and that's when we made that agreement.
You gave her the money to cover that because she asked you for it?
Yes.
And she agreed to pay you back?
Yes.
February, did you go to the casino and lose some of your boyfriend's money?
No.
Did you go to her house and tell her that you lost some of your boyfriend?
It wasn't in February.
What month?
It was probably April.
I don't care what month it was. Did you tell her you lost your boyfriend's money at the casino?
Tabitha Morrissey claims her former friend, Tina Comer, owes for an unpaid loan and personal belongings.
Go.
No, it was in February.
February.
I won a jackpot.
Just a second. February, did you go to the casino and lose some of your boyfriend's money?
No.
Okay. Did you go to her house and tell her that you lost some of your boyfriend?
It wasn't in February.
What month?
It was probably April.
I don't care what month it was. Did you tell her you lost your boyfriend's money at the casino?
$30 of it. Okay. But in February, I won a jackpot, and I didn't have my license with me because I lost my wallet, and they told me I had to come back with my license to get it.
I don't want to hear you.
Sorry.
So I asked Tabitha if she would take me back up to get my jackpot money, and I would pay her the money that I owe her, plus give her $60 for gas. And that's when I paid her the money back. And then her boyfriend also, there's some guy that she brought up there with us, asked if he can borrow some money because he said, Tabitha said she'll pay me back. So I gave him $100 too.
When you came back and told her that you had lost some of your boyfriend's money, according to you, it was $30, not $230.
Yeah, it was $30. I already paid her the $2-something when she took me to Cass Creek in February.
Oh, that was before.
Yeah, so I didn't owe her no money. But I paid her back in February, the money that I did owe her. I got proof of it too.
I'd like to see it.
And I got proof that, okay.
Take it out. I'll see whatever proof you have over this loan.
This.
Okay, yes.
And
come on, let's go.
Okay, well, here's where I won the money.
Proof. I also got proof of her saying that when she still owed me the money back in May. I got proof of that too.
Casino check. I'm not interested in this.
That's when I won the money.
I don't care.
And the other one shows when I had to go back and pick it up.
I don't care about that either.
And then...
Shh. April 28th. I can loan you some. That's in April.
Yeah, I said April 28th.
So that's when she asks for some money.
Yes.
And that was the $230?
Yes.
I'd like to see what you have.
This is...
That's April. That's not February.
No.
That's in June when she told me what she owed me in cash-wise.
Okay, so on June 11th, Ms. Comer, you write to her that you saw her take some stuff.
Yes.
Some beads, or friends took beads that belonged to you. And you say to her, so don't tell me you don't steal from me. Friends don't steal from friends. So I won't burn you for what I borrowed, which is $230. But I decided I will not give you the other $200. So I'm just not going to give you the extra. That's what it's going to cost you for stealing from me. You should think twice before you steal from, because I could say, I'm not giving you nothing, so I'm only taking back what I was going to give you. We had to sign some more papers, so I should get it any day, and I will text you when I get it. I'm also missing a half box of sunglasses, and that girl is going to get it. She lied saying the hair clippers were hers. I don't care about all that. Okay, I'm going to deal with this loan of $230. And it's clear from your statement, Ms. Comer, although it's usurious interest, and I'm not going to grant you that other $200 because it's outrageous. She's giving you 100% interest on the $230, but you are entitled to your $230 back.
But
okay, because she acknowledges, just a second, she acknowledges the debt on June 11th. Now, what about the personal belongings that you say? And don't give me a lot of nonsense. I'm not listening to a lot of nonsense.
Okay, yes. She came to me and said she wanted to do a yard sale, so we were going to do it in May.
Okay, you were supposed to do a yard sale.
Yes.
It worked for a week. It didn't work the next week. What items do you say she has of yours?
She has jewelry of mine.
I'm not listening to jewelry. Show me the insurance receipts for jewelry. Come on. Let's go. What does she have of yours?
Show you the pictures of her yard sale that does have my stuff in it.
Well, what did she end up with your stuff for? You were there at the yard sale.
I didn't have a car, so she came and picked me up and took me to my storage to go get my yard sale stuff to take over to her house to do it in the yard sale. She was supposed to contact me and come get me when she was getting ready to do the yard sale. I stayed the night at her house, and we were setting up all night long because it was a really big yard sale. It was more like a flea market type thing. And she never contacted me after dropping me back off at home, and she said that my box of jewelry fell out of my stuff when she was loading it up because she fell. So when she got home that night after dropping me off, she said it was in the driveway.
You have that in text
That was my
message?
personal belongings.
You have it?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you. So this looks like a lot of cheap plastic crystals.
No, my wedding ring was in that box. I had my box of jewelry with me to go through when I stayed the night at her house, and I was taking out the other jewelry, and the box that was coming with me home, she was loading it up, and she said it fell out of her car. So I don't see how it fell out, but she said it did. So when she got there that night, she said she'd seen it in her driveway. So, I mean, that had my wedding ring in it. And I was in the middle of getting the divorce, but it still means something to me.
$230. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done here. Thank you.
This court is adjourned.
Everything she said was a lie about the money, about all her stuff. Everything was a lie.
Because she just doesn't want to pay me my money.
She just wants to get money out of me. Because I won 2 jackpots and I got my mother's inheritance.
It hurts very much.
She's done.
I don't even care to see her.
That was really very simple when you discarded this garage sale and crystal beads listed as some of the items in the text message that were their boyfriends. Tweezers. When you got rid of that, it was actually pretty simple.
Cash loan, $230.
Cash loan, $230 that she acknowledged in June. So, relatively easy.
Yeah.
Robinson are suing their customers, Aaron and Sandra Lang, for property damage and loss of income.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Case 2152, Robinson versus Lane.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How long have you been in the business of renting party equipment?
We've been in the business about 2.5 years.
And when you started the business by purchasing how many pieces of equipment?
We purchased 3 used units.
3 used?
Yes, obstacle courses. And we rented them out. And then we saved the money and then progressed renting them out and getting more.
Now, the jumper that you rented to the defendants.
Yes, ma'am.
Was one that you bought used or one that you bought new?
I bought it new.
When?
I bought it on 7/19/21. I have the receipt for it.
I'd like to see it, please. Okay, and what you rented from them was a 38-foot obstacle course.
We didn't rent from them.
Who did?
Some friends of ours did. They used our property for their daughter's Sweet 16. They paid the Robinsons. They signed the rental agreement. We did not.
Is that correct?
Sandra's actually the one that handed me the cash.
Did somebody sign a rental agreement?
Yes.
Who was it?
It's a lady. Her name is...
Okay, so let me understand that this is let me frame it. You rented this piece of equipment, which is a 38-foot obstacle course, to someone whose name is, and according to your complaint, it was returned damaged.
Yes.
You say it can't be repaired, although you tried to patch it.
Right.
And you want the cost of a new obstacle course. And while you paid $4,500, you want $9,000.
Well, I have a list of loss of rentals because people...
You're not entitled to that. Okay. More important, I want to know how you think if these people were not signatories to your rental agreement, why would you sue them?
When we went there...
May I see that, please, by the way, while she's telling me the story?
When we went there to drop it off, we did all the, I dealt completely with Sandra. They run a business in their property, which is for parties. She said they do cigar club parties, they do Sweet 16 parties on their property.
Okay, got it. You do this as a business?
So, yes, we run.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
You use your home property. Is it your home property that you use?
Yes.
So you have a large enough piece of property that other people who want to make parties for their children do them at your house.
Yes.
So you took physical custody of this.
No.
Who did?
The renters, the people.
No. It's physical custody, not legal custody. We're not talking about legal custody. You took physical custody and put it on your property.
The people that signed the original rental agreement were on the property at the time that they dropped it off.
I don't care. It was on your property.
Yes, it was on our property.
So that's a yes.
Yes.
So it was on your property, but used by somebody else, and they were just using your property.
Yes.
Is that correct?
I had it rented out on Sunday. So when I dropped it off, I told Sandra that we would have to come at 6:30 in the morning to pick it up, to clean it and deliver it the next day. She agreed to that because normally we don't leave it overnight if it's going out the next day because we need to sterilize it. When we got there at 7 in the morning, we came in and we were getting ready to pick up the 38-foot obstacle. I noticed that the dogs had chewed, and there are two dogs, a boxer and another dog, were still running around and lifting their leg and urinating on the bouncer. We told her, your dog ate our obstacle. There's pieces of the vinyl, which I have pictures of it, where your dog just ate
You
it.
have pictures of our dog chewing it?
Just a second. I don't want to hear you again. I tried to ignore you quietly and figured you'd get the message. You don't shout out here. Go ahead.
My husband said, excuse me, miss, we have a problem. Your dogs have eaten our obstacle. So then she went in to go and get her husband. Her husband came out. He signed paper saying he was responsible for loss of rentals and the damages or replacement of it.
May I see it, please?
Yes. And also he sent text messages to our phone that same morning apologizing and saying he would do everything to replace it, plus the loss of rentals that we were going to lose.
I'd like to see those texts, and I would like to see his signature on a piece of paper assuming responsibility.
And then,
just a second.
And here's the text messages.
Oh, would you show this to Mr. Lang, please? Yes. Did you sign that, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
I signed it under distress.
Under distress?
Under distress.
There's no such thing. You mean duress?
Duress. She was...
Just a second. There's a difference between distress...
Duress.
Okay. At 7:29 a.m., you said, I, Aaron Lang, recognize and acknowledge that a jumper obstacle course has been damaged from a dog. I will take care of the repairs and work with the rental company and its owners to get this resolved ASAP. And then about 15 minutes later, you wrote, I'm so sorry again. Let me know when you drop it off, please. Okay, so you tried to drop it off the next day.
I was trying to drop it off the next day to Albert, our repair guy.
Just a second, just answer my question. It doesn't require a long answer. The next day, you were trying to get it resolved, and you're back and forth with him, let me know, et cetera, and then you don't hear from him.
No.
Then it stopped. Tried calling you, I tried messaging you to get this resolved.
Yes.
Okay, well, Mr. Lang, there's no question. You acknowledged the damage and you agreed to pay for it. That's what you have. Can I have that back? You acknowledged in here that you would take full responsibility for this. What's your defense?
My defense is when they arrived on the property to pick up their jumper that was left unaccounted for over.
No. When they arrived.
So when they arrived and they announced to us that there was damage to their obstacle course.
Well, they came to you first.
Yes.
Correct.
Is that, don't speak. They came to you first.
Yes.
You came outside.
Yes.
Okay. And when you came outside, you had a conversation with whom?
I believe Miss Robinson.
With Mrs. Robinson?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you say to her and what did she say to you?
She just went hysterically, like upset that the jumper was damaged, and that's when I went inside and
Just a
dropped
second.
my husband.
What did she say?
She just started crying, and she
started to cry.
Yeah, and she's like, your dog's damaged my obstacle course.
Just a second. So she was crying.
Yes.
And did you have any issue when she said to you, your dog's damaged my obstacle course? Did you see what was bitten off from the obstacle course? That's either a yes or a no. The answer is yes. Okay. What kind of dogs do you have?
A German Shepherd and a Boxer.
And where had you stored this unit overnight?
It was left outside.
In the backyard, in the front yard?
We live on a huge ranch, so it's a 2.5-acre parcel. And it's been known that our neighbor dogs always hop.
I don't want to hear neighbor dogs. I don't want to hear coyotes. I don't want to hear bears.
My witness, he is
Just a
the
second.
repair guide.
Stand up, sir. I don't need an explanation of this. I'm not going into the repair jumper business. Thankfully, I have a job, and I'm too old to learn anything new.
And later today.
You have the phone.
I do. To this day, I am still paying for the data for that phone.
That's a lie.
Just a second.
I literally
Just a second. Cut off your data, let her get her own plan.
Tabitha and Brandon Robinson claim their customers, Aaron and Sandra Lang, refused to pay the costs of repairs after damaging their jumper house.
Okay, now I'm going to get back to you. So now your wife comes in to get you, and you went outside.
Yes.
And?
I go outside.
Who else is there?
Just my wife and I.
So just the two of you?
Just the two of us were home.
And they were there?
And they were there.
Both of them?
Equipment. Yes.
Okay.
And their daughter.
Okay, and?
I go outside. Miss Robinson is completely hysterical, crying, just out of control in hysterics.
Okay.
Her husband's yelling, screaming, profanity.
No, tell me. Oh, I want you to tell me exactly. No. I want you to tell me exactly. She's crying, and he starts yelling.
Yes.
Well, you came out and said what to them when you came out? And then I want to hear exactly what was said.
I asked to see the damage, for them to show me what was going on, what had happened. They showed me the damage. We both took pictures. Again,
no, you both
took
pictures. Just a second. So he composed himself long enough to take pictures.
Yes.
And you were composed enough to take pictures.
Yes, I was.
Which you have.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Throughout their screaming.
No, I want you to tell me. Now you're taking pictures. You're taking pictures, and
Brandon is on the phone with their repair guy of some sort.
Okay, so he's on the phone. He's composed enough to be on the phone. Now, before he got on the phone with his repair guy, did you discuss with him your responsibility to take care of the damage? That's either yes or a no.
Yes.
Yes. So once you said, I'll take care of the damage, he got on the phone with his repair guy.
Before I agreed to take care of the damages, before we discussed that, he was already on the phone. With the
Okay, and then he got off the phone, but you signed this the same day. So I want to know when in this conversation you signed it. You need something to lean on. Somebody has to give you a piece of paper. Somebody has to get a pen.
I did not fill out that piece of paper.
You don't have to.
Tabitha is the one that filled out the piece of paper in their vehicle.
Who did?
Miss Robinson is the one that filled it out in her vehicle.
Okay, so just a second. So she got in her vehicle.
Crying in hysterics.
I don't care. She got in her vehicle, and where was her husband?
Outside loading the bouncer.
So he was outside.
Yes.
She went inside her vehicle, and he was busy.
Yes.
And you live in a house.
Yes.
And you felt pressured.
Yes.
You felt as if you were being extorted.
Bullied, yes.
Did you go inside to call the police?
No, I did not. I should have.
Yeah, but you didn't.
I did not.
You went over to the truck where she was hysterical. She wrote out this document, right?
Yes.
And you signed it.
Yes, I did.
There we go. Make my life very easy. Did your repair guy try to fix the bouncer?
I do have a receipt where we did have it, tried to get it temporary patch where we paid $600 just to make sure we could still rent it out. So that was paid for. This is my repairman. He is my witness. And then also I do have a paper with an estimate of what it would be to repair the obstacle.
May I see it, please? After he did this job, which he did on October 4th, from the 3rd to the 4th, did you rent it out?
No, we tried to, but I have pictures that I brought of what happens when the air flows through. The patches won't stay. You have to go up inside the bouncer and actually put a patch on the inside and the outside, and it would cost more money. My witness he
Just
is
a
the
second.
repair guy that can
What
tell you.
you're telling me is that your witness prepared this estimate of what it would cost to repair the jumper.
Yes.
Stand up, sir. I don't need an explanation of this. I'm not going into the repair jumper business. Thankfully, I have a job, and I'm too old to learn anything new. Did you prepare this estimate to fix the jumper?
Yes, ma'am. That is the full estimate to repair it properly.
To do it properly?
Location. Yes.
Okay.
The first one was the temporary repair.
Listen, I got it. I'm a fast learner, and anybody who watches this program better learn to think fast too, because I have a lot of things to do today. So you prepare this. So for $2,500, in addition to the $600, did they pay you the $600? Yes. So in addition to the $600, so in total, $3,100 would fix the jumper.
Correct.
Great. That's what you agreed to pay, sir. You agreed to do the repairs on the jumper. Now, you want a new jumper. You're not going to get a new jumper. You're not going to get damages for lost income. He's going to fix the jumper. How long is it going to take you?
Roughly about 2 days. 2 to 3.
2 days. Piece of cake. $3,100. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I don't owe them anything. I didn't rent the bouncer
I'm just happy that we're going to have our bouncer repaired.
because they're money hungry.
They're looking for a payday.
The truth always comes out, and what's right is what's right.
So initially, after reading the papers, I thought the plaintiffs, while perfectly matched in their tops, were suing the wrong people because these people didn't sign the rental agreement. So any damage or any agreement to pay damage, I was with you from the beginning that these are the wrong people. It came out that they had a little bit more involvement, the defendant, than they wanted.
They agreed to pay.
Exactly. He knew he did the wrong thing. He probably saw his dog destroy the jumper from the kitchen window and felt bad and knew that it was his responsibility. I don't think that they deserve $9,000 for a brand new jumper, but they deserve to get it fixed and to keep making money off of it.
Right.
Case 2178, Glad versus Sawbird. All parties, please come forward.
Serenity Glad is suing her ex-girlfriend, Jennifer Sauber, for unpaid loans.
Ms. Glad, if my memory is correct, you are suing the defendant for a series of small loans that you claim she owes you for, and those loans were created, according to you, during a period of time that you and the defendant were either involved in a relationship and or engaged.
Yes.
How long do you know each other?
We've known each other since May of 2021.
And there came a time when the defendant came to live with you, or you went to live with the defendant?
I moved to Colorado to live with her.
And when was that?
That was in May of 2022.
When you moved in with her to Colorado, were you working?
Not at the time, no.
What kind of work did you do in Colorado?
I was unemployed.
How'd you support yourself?
A friend of the family helped me out due to my disabilities.
Who pays your rent?
The friend of the family.
Do you own a car?
I did.
Do you now?
No.
Are you working now?
Not at the moment, no.
Prior to that?
I was out in Colorado.
Working?
Yes.
For whom?
It was a local coffee shop.
Okay. Now you're living together, you are a couple at some point, you became engaged, and then something happened. What happened is probably irrelevant. What I want you to tell me is, from the point that you moved in, what loans do you claim you made to her?
I had paid part of a vet bill.
When was that?
That was at the end of May. I have the invoices here.
And what makes that a loan?
Because at the time she didn't have money and she had agreed to pay me back when she had gotten a job.
Did you agree to pay her back for this vet bill when you got a job?
No, ma'am. The friend of the family was going to pay for it all, but she insisted on paying it.
Tell me about that.
So in the vet office, I was messaging the friend of the family. and he was willing to pay it in full. And she was like, no, I'm gonna pay for it. You need to quit asking him for money. I was like, he is the person that supports me right now. We do not have the money, so he's going to help us. She said that she would pay for half of it, I believe it was.
For half?
For half.
Okay.
So it was like $100.
How much was it?
$170.
Let's keep moving on.
I've been paying my data on my phone, and she keeps turning it off.
Just a second. I can't help you with that.
I understand.
You know, I'm not one of those, what do they call them, geniuses?
Genius bar.
Yeah, I'm not a genius person. Not with phones anyway.
Serenity Glad claims her ex-girlfriend, Jennifer Sauber, refuses to pay back loans given to her during their engagement.
Now, what other loans do you think she owes you for?
I had bought her tires for her car.
When?
That was on June 17th, I believe.
Were you using the car?
I was using the car.
Okay. For how long were you using the car?
About 2 months.
And what were you using the car for?
Getting to work.
So at that point, it was as much your vehicle as it was hers because she wasn't working. So you took the car to work?
Yes.
And the car needed tires?
Yes.
And?
So I ended up paying for them just for safety reasons, given that.
Well, it's your safety. You were driving it.
That's
right?
True. Yes.
Let's move on. Next loan.
On top of that, I had to pay for vet insurance for her dog.
She didn't have to.
Just a second.
Sorry.
And then even after I had left Colorado, she asked me to leave her dog on the plan and just pay me.
You have your own animals?
No.
No. So after you left Colorado, when you were no longer a couple, did you request that she continue to pay for the vet insurance? That's either a yes or a no.
I don't remember.
Well, she says you did. How many months did you pay after you left Colorado? Show me. After you left her, you were no longer a couple. How many months did you pay?
I had ended up paying.
Just the months?
2 months.
And how much were those 2 months?
$71.46.
What's next?
After that, the biggest one is the phone that she has.
Tell me, when you got the phone, when she got a new phone, because I assume she had a phone, is that right?
I actually had just bought a brand new phone, and I insisted that I didn't need a new one.
What kind of phone did you buy?
iPhone 11 mini.
And?
I got the phone, and I have a hard time seeing, and I didn't have glasses, and I was like, it would be nice to have a larger phone. We actually originally went to get us on the same plan. I was going to keep my same phone, but I was looking at the phone. She was like, well, let's both just get new phones. I was like, that's not a good idea. She was like, well, let's just get them. It's fine. So I traded in my old phone for about $400, and we got the phone, and the agreement was, since I traded in my old phone, I still had to pay off the old phone because I just got it. So the agreement was I pay off my old phone, and to keep the service on, I would pay for my service and my data, and she would pay off the phone itself. That was our original agreement. And then a few weeks later, she's like, I never said that.
Okay. How much did you end up paying for her phone?
As of currently, there's $575 paid on her phone.
Do you still have that phone?
I do.
Can I see that there's $575 left on her phone? Not because you got two when you got new phones. So just hers.
I have this.
Is that for one phone?
That is
or
just
two?
for one phone, yes.
Okay, would you show this to the defendant, Kevin, please? And you have the phone?
I do.
And you're not paying for it?
I'm paying for the service, for what we agreed
Service,
on.
I'm not talking about service. That receipt is for one phone.
Yes.
It says your phone was a little over $1,000.
Yes.
What was put down on the phone was almost $400. There were some payments made, and what's still owing on the phone is $514. That's what it says.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. And you have the phone?
I do.
Great. So $71.46 and $514 is $585. Anything else?
To this day, I am still paying for the data for that phone.
That's a lie.
Just a second.
I literally
Just a second. Cut off your data, let her get her own plan. She'll go in, she'll get her own plan. Right now, what's due and owing on the phone is $514. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I've been paying my data on my phone, and she keeps turning it off.
Just a second. I suggest you get a new plan. You have your phone, get another
I've
plan.
been trying to, but she keeps...
I can't help you with that.
I understand.
You know, I'm not one of those, what do they call them, geniuses?
Genius bar.
Yeah, I'm not a genius person. not with phones anyway. Okay, 7146 and 514. My math is almost correct. It's $585.46. That's what she owes you.
400 of that is from my old phone.
Judgment for the plaintiff. That's what she owes. That's what she owes on it. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I'm okay with it.
I do think it was a very fair hearing.
I'm okay with it because I, just want things to be all right between us because she's still my best friend and I still love her.
I mean, I feel the same way, I do love her. She's my best friend. Same exact thing. I just hope things smooth over.
So I think naturally when you're engaged to be married to someone or when you're married or even in a very serious relationship for a year, you don't keep a laundry list of expenses. I took you to dinner this night for our anniversary, here's your half. We went on vacation, here's your half. So it makes it that much more important when you're in a serious relationship like that because in the eyes of the law, those things are sort of a wash in a relationship. So if you believe that something is really a loan, that you've both decided as partners, I know we're together, I know we do things together, that we both cover the expenses and pay for, but this $1,000 phone is outside the scope of that relationship. Let's just write something down so that we remember that although we're together, this was a loan. It makes it all that much more important because...
And simple.
And simple, because otherwise the law is going to look at your relationship first and determine, is it one of those wash dinners or is it something that was legitimate? So it would just make it a lot simpler and if things don't work out in the end, easier for you to get your money back.
I think you're right.
Thank you.
Claims her son and his wife, Jacoby and Kelly Kelm, owe for the cost of a van and lost property.
All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2127, Kim versus Kim.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Kelm, this is your son and your wife.
Yes.
What's your first name?
Jacoby.
What do they call you?
Jake.
How old are you, Jake?
31.
How long have you been married?
7 years.
Prior to getting married, were you married to someone else?
Yes.
For how long?
5 years.
Did you ever live with your mother?
No.
When was the last time you lived with your mother?
I was 17, I believe.
Okay, so you had a reasonable relationship with your mother?
Yes.
Until when?
Until May of I'd say September of this year.
September of 2022?
Correct.
This is about a car. Is your claim that you sold your son a car and he didn't pay you? His defense is that it was a gift. There was never a discussion of that payment. When you turned over the car to your son, according to what I've read, you signed over the documents that allowed him to register the car in his own name, which he did. So he registered the car in his own name. Is the car still driving now?
No, it is not.
Where is it?
It got scrapped.
When?
October 3rd, 2022, which I have the receipt for that as well.
When did your mother turn the car over to you?
May 31st.
What kind of car was it?
2006 Chrysler Town & Country.
What happened to it?
Transmission went out on it, and it had some electrical issues. It kept draining the battery.
Had you spent anything to have those issues addressed?
Not on the transmission. I did replace the battery 3 times.
Did you buy a new car?
Yes.
How much?
$700.
What kind of car?
2003 Nissan Altima.
Why don't you tell me the circumstances, Jake, of the transfer of the car from your mother to you? Tell me the date that happened.
I got the title on the 30th of
May.
On the 31st, I was able to transfer it.
Tell me about the conversation with your mother when she signed over the title to you. She says you were supposed to pay her some $800 for the car.
No, Your Honor.
I want you to tell me what the conversation was with your mother when she gave you the title. You came to her, you didn't have a car.
Right.
You didn't have a car, you needed a car. And?
She said, the van's sitting over at the other property. It's just been sitting there for the last year. You can go over and if it starts, you can use it. And it did. She said, however, you cannot take the van until the title's transferred. Then at which point she gave me the title and the lien card for it. I went to the DMV, I transferred it, came back, got the van, and I was on my way. About a month and a half later, she was saying that if you give me $500, I'll put it in the safe for you, and then I'll just give it to you when you need it.
You have any communication with your mother about the car?
Not anymore.
I mean, communication in writing.
Oh, yes, I do. But nothing about payments. I mean, there was a few texts here and there saying, I want my money, or I'll take the van back.
I'd like to see that.
Okay. I might have one more in here. there's this one as well.
Jake, on September 3rd, Jake, you said, not sure what's going on with you, but this is getting ridiculous. I'll pay you when I have the money.
Right.
That's what you said.
Yep. I'm not
That's
saying I
a
don't
guess.
owe her anything. I'm just saying I was going to give her something just to show.
No. So on September 3rd, you got the car at the end of May, so June, July, and August you had the car, and you said, I'm not sure what's going on with you. Maybe, Mom, you're having issues that I don't know about, but this is getting ridiculous. I'll pay you when I have the money. That's an acknowledgement that you owe your mother the money.
Correct.
Okay. And how much did you agree to sell him the car for?
Car was $800.
Okay. Tell me about discussing with him the cost of the car and what you were going to sell it to him for.
We were at my friend's house, and we were playing marbles and having a few beers like we always do. We get together a lot. And he didn't have a vehicle, so we discussed he could use mine. And at that time, he said, well, he'd rather buy it. And then I said, okay, I will sell the van, which I was talking to my daughter about. She wanted to buy it also. And I told them both it was $800. And you could shake your head, no, that's true. But it was $800. And he said, okay, could he get it right away? And I said, well, first of all, I can't let you drive it because you're not insured. And then we talked about he was going to buy it and he would take it. I said, you got to transfer the title first. So he did all that.
Okay, well, that's responsible of both of you.
Yeah, there's no way we could leave it, go with no insurance. So then they took the van, and I told them first, I need to clean it out because I have a bunch of stuff in there. They said they would clean it out, but they needed a vehicle right away, and I said, okay.
When was the first time you asked him for money? $800 is a substantial amount of money.
He would get a paycheck and he would go to the casino or go to the racetrack or whatever. And I said, well, what about paying me some money?
And later today.
You sound like a really bright young man.
I appreciate that, Your Honor.
You really should find something important to do.
I've changed sectors since then, Your Honor.
Holly Kelm claims her son and his wife, Jacoby and Kelly Kelm, owe for the cost of a van and lost property.
Okay. When was the first time you asked him for money?
In the summer sometime. I mean, we'd get together at my friend's house, and it's probably a month later I asked him, are you going to pay something on the van? I couldn't even say an exact date because, like I said, we got together, we played cards, and we would have a few beers with my friends over at her place, and then we'd discuss the van a little bit, discuss the money.
Just for my own curiosity, you've seemed to have, up until this point, a very fine relationship with your son and his wife. Is there something that interfered with that? I mean, $800 is a substantial amount of money, but odd to bring it to a lawsuit.
There's really nothing that interfered with our relationship except for him not paying me some money. And in between this time, and you both know this.
Don't look at me.
There's one text in here, do you have any money I could borrow? And well, I didn't have any money. I think I probably had 20, and I would give it to him. Because being a mom, I don't want to see him hurting, but I told him, you still have to pay me for my car.
Okay. And he acknowledges that he would pay you for the car when I have it.
But he would get get a paycheck, and he would go to the casino or go to the racetrack or whatever. And I said, well, what about paying me some money? I said, can you at least give me $25 so I can pay for my medicine? I don't have it. Okay.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Well, I'm glad at least I'll get my money back for my van.
There's a lot of things that my mom did say that were very untrue.
I love him. I will always love him. He's my baby.
You just don't sue family over something so stupid.
You know, I'm really happy that I finally learned how to text.
Yeah, and how useful text messages can be.
Because, you know, I was late to the game with all this electronic stuff. Anyway, these text messages have become so vital to adjudicating cases because younger people memorialize everything, including what they have for breakfast and lunch and how they're feeling and what they're doing in text messages. But for the text message that he gave me, which said, I owe you the money, I'll pay you when I have it.
I think people, especially younger generation, think it's a flippant, I'm going to send this text really quick, or I'm going to
somebody on the phone.
Exactly, like it's a conversation, but they don't realize the legal implications of sending a text from your phone number, admitting a debt, even if that's not what you intended at the time you sent the text. Now there's this altercation, and you bring it to court.
Right, and it's memorialized in a writing, coming from your phone.
Got to be careful with what you text.
Yeah.
Case 2132, Eagle versus Ulrich. All parties, please step forward.
Tobias Eagle is suing his former friend, Joshua Ulrich, for cryptocurrency profits and equipment.
Mr. Eagle, you and Mr. Ulrich were friends. You were traveling together for business. What kind of business were you in other than this cryptocurrency?
First off, we weren't friends initially. We were first business partners, and we worked together underneath my mentor through his company, Symbio. Yes.
Okay, and what kind of business?
It was teaching workforce development for, I guess you could say, people who needed skills so they can be prepared for engineering jobs.
Okay, you worked at the same company?
Yes.
Okay, and when did you decide to go into this business together?
Around January to February 2021.
This has to do with cryptocurrency?
Yes.
Okay, this cryptocurrency business that you went into together, did you form a company or an LLC?
Yeah, I already had a company established. I was doing it more as a recreation, but...
So the answer is you and the defendant, when you wanted to go together into this business, did not form a separate company?
No.
So individually, it is your claim that you spent some $20,000 on equipment for this new company?
Yes.
And you were supposed to share whatever profits there were in this new company. And quite frankly, I know nothing about cryptocurrency. I am of the Charlie Munger school of cryptocurrency. I think it's all about the emperor's new clothes. And unless I can feel it, touch it, taste it, smell it, or bite on it, it doesn't exist. So I want you to know that's where I'm starting.
Yes.
Okay? So you're going to explain to me what the business was that you were doing with him that involved buying $20,000 worth of equipment, which you now say is in his possession that you want back.
Yes.
Cryptocurrency.
Okay. He mentioned that he knew how to mine cryptocurrency.
Okay.
That's how we
now
produce it.
I understand that those are the words that you use. Where is the mine?
May I explain cryptocurrency to you a little more too, Your Honor?
Oh, I'd love to hear you.
Okay, sorry. Mining is just a term for generating profits from cryptocurrency. There's no physical mine, as you may already be aware. It's not like mining gold.
Yes. It's not like anything. It's like the emperor's new clothes.
Yes, ma'am. But essentially, cryptocurrency...
That's why it collapsed.
Yes. Cryptocurrency mining is just...
You know that it collapsed.
Oh, yes, it collapsed.
Everybody knows that it collapsed.
Yes, ma'am.
Charlie Munger predicted that a long time ago.
Yes, ma'am. But essentially...
Do you know that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So what you were involved in is a shill game of Emperor's New Clothes, which would have involved all of your investors. Who was it that created cryptocurrency? The Winklevoss?
I don't know who created cryptocurrency.
Brothers? I don't know. Not sure. In any event, somebody had a vivid imagination.
Yes, ma'am. But all crypto is we essentially use our computer resources, specifically a piece called a graphics card that is really good at solving equations. We essentially solve equations for money. That's really all mining is. And
You
so we
solve
generate revenue.
equations for money.
Yes, ma'am.
What equations?
I don't know the specific equations. Essentially, the equations are so complex that when you solve them, you're rewarded for your time and the effort that your computer put into it, and that's where the revenue or mining comes from. We essentially validate transactions the same way you might want to make sure that a transaction on your bank statement is legitimate. And so we were paid for validating these transactions.
You sound like a really bright young man.
I appreciate that, Your Honor.
You really should find something important to do.
I have changed sectors since then, Your Honor.
You have equipment that he paid for?
No, Your Honor. I would actually like to
Just
get
a
in.
second. I'm
Yes,
just
ma'am.
asking a question. I thought maybe we could resolve this. Show me what equipment you purchased, sir, the receipts for it, and tell me where it is.
And so we're not here specifically for the GPUs that he claimed.
The what?
GPUs, graphic cards.
Just a second. Don't say anything to me, sir. You have a counterclaim for equipment.
I have it for equipment and cryptocurrency assets.
I'm not bothering with that.
Okay, no worries, Your Honor.
Yeah, no worries.
Tobias Eagle claims his former friend, Joshua Ulrich, owes for cryptocurrency profits and equipment.
I contributed $20,000 in equipment, and by the first quarter of 2021, I am suing the defendant, Joshua Ehrlich, for cryptocurrency profits and return or value of equipment.
Yes.
I'm not concerned about cryptocurrency profits, because I think cryptocurrency is a whole lot of who shot John. And the only ones that probably got skunked are any investors that you put into cryptocurrency.
Well, it still has value, so.
Well, you know something? You tell that to all the people who lost billions in the last 2 weeks. Would you mind just showing me the equipment that you purchased and receipts for it? I didn't ask you for anything.
Yes, Your Honor.
Equipment that you purchased. Okie dokie.
And so for this equipment, it was purchased through an auctioning site. And so they only have a year delay, and then that was the only information I was able to receive from them.
That's not helpful to me, sir. That's not helpful to me at all. I can't, what am I supposed to do with this?
That's just showing that I have proof that I purchased the equipment.
It doesn't show me how much.
It wasn't how much I bought it for. It was because I plan on rebuying the equipment. And so that's just proof that I bought the equipment and that he has it.
That a workstation, a Hewlett-Packard server.
Yes. And I have a price
one
break.
small pallet of miscellaneous battery backups.
Yes. And there were specifically 12
and
of those.
2 Dell towers.
Yes.
Everything here are things that you want back from him.
Yes.
You have nothing in your house of these things.
Of those things, no. Those are in his barn right now.
Okay. Do you have these things?
No, Your Honor.
Did you ever have this in your possession?
Yes, at one point I did have it in my possession.
When?
I had it in my possession when we were at a shared facility that was in Rancho Cordova.
Now you're not in a shared facility anymore.
Yes, ma'am. Since we were in a shared facility, I have never had the equipment in my possession. Furthermore, the equipment that he's talking about has nothing to do with this case. This case is primarily around the assets.
You have no idea how simple I'm going to make this, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
He has receipts for certain equipment.
I have receipts for more equipment, and I have a very
Just a second. You have a counterclaim for equipment.
I have it for equipment and cryptocurrency assets.
I'm not bothering with that.
Okay, no worries, Your Honor.
Yeah, no worries. No assets.
No
there are no
problem, Your Honor.
cryptocurrency assets. Where is the equipment that you claim he has that belongs to you?
Well, it was originally at his house when we moved out of the facility. I relocated all of it to his house. I have an inventory ran on the last day I was at his house, marked with the location, the equipment, and a lot of details. I would love to show it to Your Honor if that's acceptable.
Just a second. Do you have...
On that list? No.
No. Do you have any equipment at your house?
Yes.
What equipment do you have at your house?
The graphics cards that he's talking about.
So you have the graphics cards that belong to him?
No, they belong to me mostly. So I bought most.
What do you mean that they belong to you mostly?
I bought most of the graphics cards. He put in some money for some equipment expenses. And for my estimates, which I wish I could have asked him, was around $3,000 that he put in. And I put around $15,000.
How do you expect a court to dissect this business mess that you've created?
I'm not here for the GPUs or graphics cards. That's why I completely left them out.
But he has a counterclaim.
And that's fine. He can present it.
I understand that.
Sorry.
How do you expect somebody to pick apart this legal morass that you have, except to say that all of the stuff should be sold?
Understood.
I don't have any value of what you claim you spent for this because there are no amounts on it.
Yeah,
well, that's a problem.
I do have documentation, Your Honor, of all of it, and it's labeled who purchased it and the amounts. In addition, the second page here has the totals that he was talking about, and the documentation pages are below.
Now, great. There isn't a lot of very expensive stuff that you paid for, Mr. Ulrich.
There's not too much, no, Your
No, there isn't too much expensive stuff here, right?
Yes,
you know, We have something for $24, something for $15. You paid for the little stuff, he paid for the big stuff.
Two things, Your Honor, that I would like to mention. First of all, he did not purchase $20,000 worth of assets. This is a highly inflated number. I can actually prove this.
Just a second.
Yeah, no worries.
Just a
No
second.
problem,
I'm not awarding him any money. Each of you will take back the things that you bought. You didn't have a formed company together. It's not a company asset. It belongs to each of you. You're not in business anymore.
Yes.
So all I have to know is what do you have at your house and what do you have at yours?
He has everything, including all the physical assets. The only thing that I have at my house, Your Honor, is, or it's actually on my computer, technically, stored in a digital wallet. A digital wallet is the same thing as a regular wallet. This is just how we store cryptocurrency.
I don't want to care about that.
Sorry.
I don't care
No problem,
about that. All I'm talking about is equipment.
I have no equipment at my house, Your Honor.
What equipment does he have in his house?
He has everything that's listed on that document that I gave you, and I actually do have proof that he has it because...
I'd like to see it.
So these are text messages from my roommate to his mother.
From who?
From my roommate. He was supposed to be here as a witness.
If he's not here, you can't show me texts from him.
He wasn't able to make
Well, you can't prove something to me via hearsay from a witness who's not here.
It's not hearsay, it's just text messages that he gave.
That's hearsay by a person not here. You know, I actually don't think that you're ready to have this case tried. I can't help you. You say you don't have anything in your house. You can't tell me how much the item cost. If he said he doesn't have anything in his house, should I rule that he has to give it back to you? And he said, I don't have it. I can fix the dollar amount, but I can't do that unless you have what you paid for it.
I have documentation here that at the value at which I have to pay to buy it back. Because since it was through an auctioning site, I don't remember. I had several auctions I bought most of that equipment from.
You can show me a bank statement where you paid money to an auction house. I just want to see an amount that you paid to the auction house.
I don't have that on me currently.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
Your
Your
Honor,
case is dismissed without prejudice. Go back to the courts where you originally came from and see if they can help you any more than I'm willing to. Can't help you until you get your documentation together, sir. You're the plaintiff in this case. I can't award. You don't have anything if you don't have what you paid for the equipment.
But
he said he doesn't have the equipment.
And he's lying.
It may be, and the proof that you have is inadmissible here because your friend who authored those texts is not here. The case is dismissed without prejudice. Go back to the court where you...
Angela Landy is suing her former employee, Alishani Wyatt, for stealing clients and breaching their employment agreement.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2112, Landy versus Wyatt.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Miss Wyatt, when did you become an esthetician?
I was licensed as an esthetician in March of 2021.
Okay. Miss Landy, this is what your case is about. You hired Miss Wyatt for your business. You have a spa business. Is that what it is?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
How long have you had the business?
I've been in operations as an S Corp since 2016. I worked for myself as a sole proprietor since 2009.
How many employees did you have in 2020 and 21?
In 2020, it was during the pandemic. We were shut down most of the time. In 2021, there was up to 5 employees, not including myself, Your Honor. It was 6 of us total.
Does that include Miss Wyatt?
It does, Your Honor.
When did she start working for you?
She started working for me in February of 2021 as a receptionist. I hired her as a receptionist.
Okay. Not an esthetician?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Were you going to school at the time?
I was not hired in February. I didn't get my license until March of 2021.
What the plaintiff says is you were hired in February. She probably has documents to work as a receptionist.
I was not hired. I didn't even have my license then.
Did you have any proof that she started in February?
Your Honor, I have proof that she...
Was she on your payroll?
She was on my payroll.
Okay, so that's
what we have document of in that is that she started brand new as a receptionist. Maybe it was in March of 21.
Okay.
I have my first paycheck stub.
I'd like to see it. Okay. This is a pay stub from April.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. This is your claim. Your claim is that when Miss Wyatt came to work for you, subsequently as an esthetician, which she was, because she counted her among your 6 employees in 2021, that she had signed a contract which provided for certain restrictions should she leave. You don't have that contract.
I cannot find it. It was supposed to be.
Okay. You don't have that contract.
Nope.
Miss Wyatt, when you went to work for the plaintiff, do you recall signing a document?
I do recall signing documents stating like what my job title was and like the documents that would go towards what we went over and things like that for training purposes.
Okay.
Your Honor, I have non-solicitation, non-disclosure agreement documents of employees. There's 4.
Okay. Is this an employee of yours?
No, it is not, Your Honor.
Ever? Was ever?
Never been an employee.
Were either one of those 2 people employees, former employees?
Tabitha Brown was.
Was this a former employee of yours?
Tabitha Brown was a former employee.
At approximately the same time?
She was an employee of mine for 5 years up until April 17th, Your Honor.
Did she voluntarily leave, or did you?
She voluntarily left.
Okay. Did she voluntarily leave to go to work with the defendant?
I did not know that until the day defendant left.
But ultimately, you determined that she did?
Sure did.
Okay. She was with you for 5 years?
Sure. Yes.
I assume that if you have a business and you don't have this contract, which you allege, if you could produce, had a specific non-compete clause in it, but you don't have it. She remembers signing something, but she doesn't remember exactly what it was. Can you stand up? Tell me your name.
Tabitha Brown.
Miss Brown, did you sign a contract when you went to work for the plaintiff?
Yes, I didn't remember that I did.
You did?
Yes.
But you did?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a copy of her?
I sure do. And
just a second.
Okay.
Do you have a copy of it?
I don't.
No, but you have a copy of what she signed?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Your Honor.
No. Just let me see the copy. I'm trying to reconstruct something just to get some general parameters of this case. Tabitha Brown, March 22nd, 2022.
Yes.
Different.
Oh.
That is not the non-solicitation, non-disclosure agreement. That's a different agreement. Those are contracts she has signed.
Oh, well, you gave me 2 things. What is this?
One is her non-disclosure, non-solicitation, and also the second one is the role definition of an esthetician working for me.
Looking at the non-compete. Okay, this is pretty standard. Kevin, would you show this to Miss Brown? And I also want you to show it to Miss Wyatt. That clearly your signature.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And so that says within 1 year of your leaving Miss Landy's employment, you will not work in a related field within 7 miles from her current place of business.
Yes.
When you left her employment, did you go to work with Miss Wyatt?
We left to share. Yes.
The answer is either yes or no. So you did. You went to work with Miss Wyatt. And when you went with Miss Wyatt, that was sometime in 2022.
Yes, ma'am.
What month?
May of 2022.
Your Honor, that's incorrect.
Shh. Don't. I'm not needing your help.
Okay.
In this case, you don't have a physical signed contract, so I don't see why you think that you have all documentation.
I don't have documentation.
That's what I'm saying.
Due to the fact that I believe she stole the information out of my filing cabinet.
Angela Landy claims her former employee, Alishani Wyatt, stole clients and breached their employment agreements.
Now, does Miss Wyatt have a location, a shop, a store, a place of business, or does she operate out of her residence?
We share a space.
You share a space where?
At the Salon Studios in Valencia.
Have you calculated the distance between that space and Miss Landy's office?
I have, ma'am.
And how far is it?
3.4 miles.
Well, you're not allowed to do that, pursuant to the terms of your agreement.
Correct. I don't have a copy of that agreement, ma'am.
Well,
I have it now, but at the time I didn't. It's from 5 years ago, and I never received a copy of that. So it was.
I don't know whether you received a copy of it or not. It's your signature, and it's pretty standard fare. Mm-hmm. It's not that it's not standard fare. So, Miss Wyatt, what I have to do is sort of put together whether or not I believe that you, in fact, had the same document that you signed.
Correct.
And I believe that you did. Despite the fact she says that you probably took it when you left. I can't describe that conduct to her. But this is pretty standard fare, that within 1 year it's not too onerous, it's not within a 50-mile radius, it's a 7-mile radius. 3.5 miles are certainly well within that. You could have found some place that was 8 miles away, and then we wouldn't be in this difficulty. But you didn't. Anyway, so you were in violation of your contract when you left and went to work and shared space with Miss Wyatt. Okay, but you're not suing her.
No, ma'am.
Why?
Because I know the case would be dismissed because of the lack of solicitation between clients and of a former employee.
Well, not necessarily. Those two stand alone.
Your Honor, if I may say, there was a small claims action against Tabitha, but because there was no evidence.
What do you mean there was no evidence?
I had no evidence, the way I have evidence today with Alishani, that Tabitha solicited clientele.
Okay. Now you can sit down.
Thank you.
So that small claims case was dismissed?
Yeah, I have nothing there, which I learned. I have nothing to stand on what I have to stand on today.
Well, what you had to stand on, Miss Ledger, which I don't understand, you had a non-compete agreement with her. She's in violation of that agreement. That's all you need. And she violated this agreement. She went to work within 7 miles of your place of business. So I don't understand that. In this case, you don't have a physical signed contract. I have to reconstruct whether I believe that there was one. So I don't see why you think that you have all documentation.
I don't have documentation.
That's what I'm saying.
Due to the fact that I believe she stole the information out of my filing cabinet.
I don't know whether she did or not. Right now, you say it's a lost document. You can't find it.
Correct.
Okay. And the defendant acknowledges, and it's usually custom and practice in the business, to sign a non-compete when you have that kind of service industry. Right. And I'm prepared to accept judicial notice of the fact that when you go to work for a beauty salon or a hair salon or a spa, you develop a clientele within the spa. You can't open up a store next door and steal the clients. Most people have people sign this, and you did, and you had it done 5 years ago. So Ms. Brown is in violation of this contract.
That is correct.
Why somebody dismissed that, I don't know. I have no idea. Okay. So now you're going to demonstrate to me that Miss Wyatt solicited clients of yours.
Yes,
Show me.
Okay. In July of 2021, Alishani was trained to be an esthetician.
Let's not go back to ground zero. I'm not interested. I am assuming for the purposes of this hearing that she signed a non-compete clause, just as Ms. Brown did. So let's start from there, and I asked you a very simple question. I said, what proof do you have that she solicited clients when she left?
Your Honor, my solicitation is here.
Fine, I'd like to take a look at it.
And my witness, Kennedy, is here as well.
Well, let's go to Miss Kennedy. Was Miss Kennedy a client of yours?
Yes, Your Honor.
Would you stand up, please? Your first name?
Kennedy. Kennedy.
Last name?
Johnson.
Ms. Johnson, how long had you been a client of Miss Landy's spa?
I want to say about 2019, Your Honor. I was there before the pandemic and was there for a while before it shut down due to COVID.
Were you there after it reopened?
Yes.
After COVID. What kind of work do you have done there?
I get sugared, which is using sugar, lemon, and I believe it's honey, and water, and you mix it together and it takes hair off of you.
And who did that for you?
I went through many of the clientele and the employees at Angela's shop at the time. So there were several people that, Alicia was one of them, as well as Tabitha.
How many times did the defendant do the waxing? Sugaring.
I want to say at least 5 times.
Do you recall when she left Miss Landry's?
I do not remember the date. However, I do remember getting a call from her company. I got a call saying...
From Miss Landry's company?
Yes.
Yes.
Your Honor, it's Landy.
Landy.
Yes, from Miss Landy's company. They had called me on my cell phone and told me that she was no longer there, and they had told me she was no longer there.
You can't tell me what somebody from her shop told you. That's hearsay. I want to know about the solicitation. If there was.
Yes. So, one point while Alicia, the defendant, was there.
Sorry. Do you understand?
Yes. While the defendant was there, I had gotten sugared on my face. It was a small patch test, and after she had texted me, gave me her personal number, and told me if I had any reaction to text her and let her know. After I texted her, I had...
And this was while she was working for the plaintiff?
Yes, that is correct.
Go ahead.
And as a while, I started having a small reaction, and I had texted her and sent her a picture of my face and told her that I was starting to have a small reaction. I did not receive anything back for a little bit. And then I want to say around April, late March.
Well, when did you text her?
This text for the face patch was earlier, I want to say early March, maybe February.
Do you have the text?
I believe she gave it to you.
The third one, Your Honor.
What date did Miss Wyatt leave your employ?
April 22nd is when I got her immediate resignation.
April 22nd,
2022.
And is this what you're referring to? Hey, Kennedy, I forgot to tell you, if you wanted to book with me again, I could put you in my books. I'll be in Valencia.
That's correct.
And is Valencia where your shop is?
3.2 miles away, Your Honor.
No. Answer my question. I have a question. Is Valencia where your shop is?
No.
That's my question. Why don't you just answer my question?
Okay.
Tell me what she told your attorney. Do you understand?
Even if I have an affidavit?
Is your attorney in the military?
No, I just have a notarized affidavit.
From whom?
My
From
attorney.
Her? No, I don't take affidavits from attorneys. Okay. It's ridiculous.
Business owner Angela Landy has accused her former employee, Alishani Wyatt, of taking her clients and breaking their agreements.
So Valencia is not where your shop is. Valencia is where your place of business is.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So you left on the 22nd, is that correct?
That's correct.
On the 20th, 2 days before, you tell Miss Kennedy, because I assumed that this was a planned move of yours, that she could reach you again at your new place of business in Valencia.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, well, you're not allowed to do that.
During the services, it's a very intimate service, so you start to gain a relationship with these clients. And through that time, I felt like I had gained a relationship. It wasn't just a client with Kennedy. So
You met her
Yes.
through the plaintiff.
Yes, Your Honor.
You started to work on her through the plaintiff.
Yes, Your Honor.
She had other people work on her other than you.
Yes.
She may have liked you better than the other people. That doesn't diminish the fact that you knew that you weren't supposed to solicit clients. You knew that. I believe that you knew that.
Yes.
Because that's standard fare. So your excuse is you thought you developed a personal relationship with her.
Correct, Your Honor.
How many other people did you develop a personal relationship with?
Majority of the clients that I had who were returning clients of mine, I felt like I had built personal relationships with.
If you're potchking around with somebody's face or scrubbing their body or giving them a scrub to get hair off on every part of the body, then you develop an intimate relationship
Correct.
with somebody. Now, your first name is Kennedy?
Yes.
Kennedy, did you ever go out to dinner with Miss Wyatt?
No, I did not.
She ever invite you to her house?
No, she did not.
Was the only time you ever saw Miss Wyatt while you were having a service?
That is correct.
You see, that's not an intimate relationship. That's just stealing clients, Miss Wyatt.
Okay.
So my question to you is, you're seeking damages, okay? Did you seek injunctive relief?
No, Your Honor.
Why not?
I didn't know about injunctive relief. In addition, because of the staff leaving, because of solicitation, admitted solicitation by Alishani to my attorney, and I have a sworn affidavit for that. Because of that, I ordered them a cease and desist, and they ignored the cease and desist. Alishani told my attorney that she did not
No, you can't
solicit
tell, Bob. You
hearsay.
can't tell me what she told your attorney. Do you understand?
Even if I have an affidavit?
Is your attorney in the military?
No, I just have a notarized affidavit.
From whom?
My
From
attorney.
Her? No, I don't take affidavits from attorneys. It's ridiculous. Are you still in operation, Miss Wyatt?
Yes, Your Honor.
How many people work for, with, or to you?
It's just me. I have my own personal LLC, and she has her own personal LLC, so none of our money is combined.
Miss Wyatt, how many of your former clients from Miss Landy's business followed you?
I would say a good portion. I don't have an exact number.
Yes.
Here you go.
Now, just tell me.
I would say at least...
No.
No, I'm sorry.
I don't want you to say I would say at least. I assume you have names, people.
I have names and people here.
How many of your clients
20.
went to Miss Wyatt?
20.
Not were solicited. Follow me very carefully. not solicited by her, but actually left your business to go with her?
Actually left my business to go with her.
20?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see. Does that sound right, Ms. Wyatt?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then I don't have to see. She says that that's about right.
Your Honor, I would also like to add that after I left, she did send out a mass text allowing all of the clients who had ever seen me to be aware that I was no longer there. So that also allowed more clients to reach out to me in different aspects.
No, my dear, you made the mistake.
Okay.
You made the mistake by opening up an office within a 7-mile radius, which you can't do.
Okay.
You solicited her clients. I thought maybe just 1 or 2, but 20, that's a lot of clients. 20 recurring clients is a lot of clients. Miss Landy's request in her small claims case is the maximum of the jurisdiction, which is $10,000. And I think that she deserves every penny of that.
Okay.
Because what you did was wrong and a breach of your contract with her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
And I have to tell you something. That's ongoing.
Okay.
Just so that you're aware.
I felt like the work environment was very unstable.
I have so many people to testify, including employees, that it's not a hostile work environment.
And I was constantly anxious there.
I was doing so much to improve the quality of the business by changing policies and procedures.
I had to do what was best for me and my family. I'm a single mom, so
hiring a business coach, working with an HR team.
Let the better business win, I guess.
The better business has won.
I was a little bit confused. Maybe you can shed some light on it for me. Why the plaintiff wouldn't sue for injunctive relief, because injunctive relief is suing not so much for damages, but to get someone to stop doing something. So in this case, it seemed to me that the proper ask, per se, would be injunctive relief to stop the defendant from operating her business in violation of her contract. But she didn't do that. She sued for damages instead. And I just think that this same problem could keep happening, that I think it's a good lesson for people to educate themselves or hire a lawyer to find the proper relief. Because what's to say that this is going to stop today? I'm sure she'll keep seeing the 20 clients.
Well, she's going to keep seeing the 20 clients. This judgment today was more compensatory than punitive, because if she had taken one client with her, well, she's in violation of the contract, and some token violation would have been appropriate. But she took 20 clients with her.
I got the feeling from you that you weren't exactly in line with the $10,000 number until you heard
Until
about
I heard
20
the 20
clients.
I mean, that's really
That's a whole business,
some
really.